Now, from the Fan Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
Jeff Rust with your Sports Center update. First on the Fan, former Florida State and Alabama wide receiver Malik Benson has committed to play for Oregon next year thanks to the recent NCAA ruling on junior college players. Benson told ESPN he was impressed with the coaching staff and intrigued by playing with projected starting quarterback Dante Moore. The NFL's Black Monday has flowed over into Tuesday. Tennessee Titans, they fired GM Ran Carthon. The team said Brian Callahan, though, will stay on as head coach. Titans finish the season at 3-14 and hold the number 1 overall pick in the 2025 draft. Chargers are signing running back Ezekiel Elliott to their practice squad today after averaging only 3.1 yards per carry on just 74 carries in 15 games this season. Elliott was waived by the Cowboys earlier this month. After being carted off the field Sunday against the Vikings, Lions cornerback Terrion Arnold now considered day-to-day with a foot contusion. Detroit has a bye for this wild card weekend as the number 1 seed. They'll face the lowest remaining seed in the divisional round. NBA doubleheader tonight on TNT. First up, it's the Lakers at the Mavericks. That's a 4:30 tip. Dallas are 6.5-point home dogs. Then at 7 o'clock, it's the Nuggets as 5.5-point home dogs hosting the defending champion Celtics. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Jeff Rust at the Fan Sports Desk. Listen live or on demand on the Odyssey app, the Fan's desktop player, or tell your smart speaker to play 1080 The Fan.
Jump back to earlier parts of your favorite fan shows on the Odyssey app. The only way to rewind Portland's sports leader, 1080 The Fan. Warm up the grill, grab a beverage, and paint your face.
What is that?
I painted my face.
You painted your face?
Yeah.
This is Danny and Dusty on Wild Card Week.
Injured? Don't trust just anyone to something so personal. Call George McCoy at Warren Allen. Online at warrenallen.com.
Danny and Dusty on 1080
Why?
Well, support the team.
The Fan.
Good afternoon! Hey, welcome in. Happy Tuesday. How's everybody doing today?
Wonderful. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm great. I'm great. Today is, start of a new season, right? Put football season behind us.
Is it basketball season for you now?
It's basketball season. It's basketball season. I start the season coaching the 3rd, 4th grade team today. Let's go.
Good Lord.
I don't know if I'm going to be more Bobby Knight or, I want to be more of a player's coach. I don't know how this is going to go.
Well, or do you have the liquor store or the liquor cabinet fully stocked and be more like Bob Huggins?
Well, I don't think we're going to. Oh, Huggy Bear, make them run on a treadmill on the side every time they commit a turnover in practice.
Just don't go out and get the Deweys, that's all.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mildly problematic.
I think that's a start when coaching 3rd, 4th grade basketball, Rust.
Well, I mean, that is quite literally the way that Mighty Ducks first started.
Actually, yeah.
Everybody kind of dismisses that.
When you turn that movie on, I don't think you are quite ready as an adult for how Gordon Bombay actually became the coach of the Mighty Ducks, District 5.
Yes, he was assigned to them for getting a Dewey.
Yep, and he did not want to do it. It was court-ordered coaching. And Disney's like, you know what? Franchise this.
Yeah, right.
We are not going to have 1. We're not going to have 2. We're going to have 3 Mighty Ducks movies.
And it worked wonderfully.
Yeah.
Especially for Emilio.
Yeah. This is it right now.
I'm not going to lie. I have to admit something here. Never seen any of them.
You're kidding. No. How did you avoid them?
I was just a little too old when they came out, just a couple years ahead of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. I was in on it. I mean, look, I think every kid ended up getting some rollerblade. That was D2, Mighty Ducks Are Back, where they defended our great nation against those a-holes from Iceland.
Greenland is covered in ice, but Iceland is very nice.
That's right. That's right.
92. Yes, I was in high school when it came out.
I mean, still.
Yeah. Yeah. I think...
It wasn't like we had streaming services back then.
Yeah, but I was probably about 4 years or so too old, I would imagine, at that point.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. But it got me into thinking I was going to be a hockey player. I mean,
were you thinking like you were Kenny Wu?
No.
No?
Figure skater?
No.
A figure skater?
I mean, who you thinking here?
Because
Because you weren't Bash Bros.
No. Well, if I'm being quite honest, it was Charlie, right? Where I don't have the hockey skills. I don't have the hockey skills. Wasn't too keen on Gordon Bombay hooking up with my mom, but you know, I was open to it if that was the hockey route I was going to take.
That's how you got on? Okay.
Yeah.
So you weren't Adam Banks? You weren't a cake eater?
No, I wasn't Adam Banks because I knew he was far too skilled. Yeah, if anything, I probably would have been. What was that kid? What was that kid's name who calls him the cake eater? The twins. I probably would have been one of those two.
There you go.
You know?
Yeah.
One of those guys who were just,
The fact that I have those names, like, if you had asked me to name
Goldberg was a fan favorite, but I obviously was not Goldberg.
So yeah, there's Spear and Fools.
Yeah, things went dark, but turned around.
Yeah.
Turned around. TMZ report saw that he got engaged recently.
Yeah,
Good for Goldberg.
Yeah, because he was on a lot of drugs.
Yep.
It's tough.
Yeah, that is tough.
Who's Ham from The Sandlot? Did you see the back off the tee guys, the country club adjacent guys? They hit him with a quack, 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 calling him Goldberg.
No.
Oh, it ruined him. He was like, "Oh, that's cold, man."
Yeah, no, I'm Ham. And if you don't go Ham, you go the goalie from the Mean Green. That's what he was.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
Yeah. Just soccer classic.
He basically went all fat guys are the same.
Yeah, I feel like it really where I found my rhythm in the hockey player would have been is not from the original Mighty Ducks. It was D2, and it was the kid who played Benny the Jet Rodriguez in The Sandlot, who was the fast skater who couldn't stop.
Yeah.
That was more of who I envisioned my hockey career being like. I could skate fast, didn't have many skills, wasn't great at stopping either. Not a great stop. I was not a strong skater.
That's what the boards are for, right?
Yes, that was literally what he did.
Mm-hmm.
The thing that got me in actual real life, I could rollerblade forward, backwards. We went out to skate world as a kid, had all the fun out there.
Oh, look at Big Danny! I could skate backwards.
No, like it was functional. No, it worked. I was like, oh, this is I get this. The second you put me on ice, gone. There's something about the friction. It does not compute.
Yeah.
I spend so much time just falling endlessly. Can you ice skate?
Yeah, I can.
Can you?
I can ice skate.
It's just something.
Well, hold on. I should say this. I can stay up ice skating. I can skate backwards on ice skates.
Really?
Yeah.
It does not did you use the rental skates? Did you have okay.
Yeah.
I tried the regular ones that you rent. I tried the hockey skates that are the thinner blades, all of it. None of it worked for me.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, maybe I can go back now. I can blame my hips.
Wow. Yeah, maybe it was hip dexterity. It was your body telling you already.
Yeah.
I'm going to shut down on you.
This is not going to work.
You can't ice skate.
No. It's all in the hips.
It is all in the hips.
These hips
I
do
tell you
lie.
what, it is hilarious to go to whether it's a pop-up ice skating rink. We did this down in Los Angeles in LA Live. They've got an ice rink right there in front of Crypto Arena, right? Watching people on ice skates and just baby deer it and just bam.
Yeah.
I could just sit there and watch that all day.
No, it's
hilarious. Yeah. It is hilarious. And then there comes the moment where you go from laughing to being one of the folks that are on the skates out there, which is why I take pride on being able to stand up on skates.
Look, I still, to me, the hardest sport. The hardest thing to do in sports is hit a baseball. I think we all agree that's the thing, right? The hardest sport to play is hockey. Because not only do you have to be able to do everything that you can do with a stick and a puck, which takes insane hand-eye coordination, also you have to be a world-class skater.
Yeah, you do.
Not an okay skater.
Yeah, what they're able to do on skates is mind-blowing.
A few years ago, we were in the old Namper, and we decided to kill some time and go do some roller skating. And that was the first time I'd been on roller skates since probably high school. It was not pretty.
You were in the what? Hold on. Can we go back to you were in the what?
In the old Namper, Idaho.
Oh. It's like, you were where?
I thought he said Namp. He said
Namper, but I did not know My
country
Idaho.
dialect detector popped up. It was like, oh, he meant Nampa.
But yeah, no, I made it about 10, 15 minutes, and I was like, I'm done. I'm not breaking a hip out here doing this.
We got text on the Vancouver Ford text line 503-864-6326. This text says, yeah, I've never seen any of those hockey movies either, but in the inner city of East Palo Alto wasn't a popular movie amongst the black folks. Mighty Ducks. That I quite literally believe that's why they made D2, and because D2, the Mighty Ducks are back, they went to
the inner city.
L.A. and they picked up Kenan Thompson, who was Russ, who shot the knuckle puck.
Knuckle puck, baby.
Yeah,
it's knuckle puck time.
That makes me uncomfortable.
In a pickup street hockey game.
Yeah.
The knuckle puck, yeah.
And the puck that they were playing with was really weird looking.
Yeah.
It had
little
knobs on it.
Yeah, that was your street hockey puck.
Yeah, I don't think that one lasted a long time.
Oh no, that's how you played the street hockey because that's how the puck would roll.
Okay.
There were little balls on it. Balls. All over them.
Mark.
Yeah, grab that one.
And mark it. Anyways, don't know how we got on Mighty Ducks, but here we are. Gordon Bombay. Yeah, my youth basketball coaching.
There you go. Because you got a DUI and had to coach too.
That's not true.
I tell you what, sometimes it's funny the scenic routes that we take to a conversation.
Boy, we got there. Boy, did we get there. We took an adventure there. But yep, it's not going to be Gordon Bombay because I'm not forced to do it. I'm solely volunteering. This is not court ordered. I think I'm going to go Ron Swanson. I think, do I go out day one with the Swanson pyramid of success and just go, there are two acceptable haircuts, high and tight and crew cut. Maybe that's what I do. Teach
doing
these young whippersnappers how to be a man.
The mild form of showing love where you just give them the little chest bump on the shoulder?
Look, if I'm
knuckle bump on the shoulder.
We are being quite honest. Players coach. Coach Dusty's a players coach. We're gonna have some fun. But season 2 starts now. It's basketball season. Let's go. I'll keep everybody up to date on the record of the league that apparently doesn't keep score. So we're gonna go there.
Oh, it's one of those?
I think, yeah. But look,
where do you fall on that?
Everybody knows the score.
Okay.
Everybody knows the score.
Okay.
Right? That's one of the funny things is that I remember T-ball games where you knew what the score was, guys. Everybody knows. You don't have to put it up there, but they all know the score. All those kids are keeping score in their head. They know exactly what is going on, but it's just not up on a scoreboard. That's how it works.
Which again, I don't know. It feels weird. It feels weird.
You're in that embarrassment will last a long time, and you need to learn that embarrassment very quickly.
Yeah, no, I think
it's humbling to get blown out.
It sorts you out, man. It sorts you out real quick. It's that pecking order matters. I think it is a motivational thing. It either motivates you to play another sport, or you go, I want to get better.
Yeah, that's the thing about. I love the meme where it shows just two kids lining up for the Oklahoma drill, and
basketball players
they're
are
lining up head to head, and the meme says this drill has made more basketball players than any other drill, and that's true.
It's 100% true.
That is true. You can't do that anymore.
I know.
You can't do and I will say, rightfully so.
I get it.
The game of football is a lot safer now that. I don't know. We don't watch Crunch Time and be like, that's how you tackle. Yeah. Or the Oklahoma drill, which is you one-on-one, lead with your head, let's go, giddy up.
Yeah. But also, it did sort you out.
Yeah, but, I mean.
That is the closest thing we've ever had to a Harry Potter sorting hat in reality.
Yeah, that is.
Of anything ever.
No, you're not wrong.
You put that hat on for that one drill.
Mm-hmm.
You are in house basketball, or you're in house baseball, or you are in house football.
It's life-changing. It really is.
It's nope.
I don't know how these young coach or youth coaches, how do you find linebackers these days? Because that was the number one drill. It's yep, linebacker.
You love this.
That one.
You come here.
Linemen are easy. You're like, young man, we're going to have to put a stripe on your helmet. See you when you thin out.
Yeah. Maybe come 8th or 9th grade.
Yeah.
Depending on when everybody else catches up.
Mm-hmm.
That's when you might be able to tote that rock.
Yeah. Yeah. I think every good youth football team needs an offensive line coach that teaches O-line culture, because that's when offensive linemen really
If you buy in early.
Yeah.
You buy in early.
And the culture is often a little bit problematic because they are the most fun people to hang out with. They are my favorite people to hang out with.
It's just absolute debauchery.
Oh, boy. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. But, I mean, I think you start with, like, an O-line coach who's like, what'd you guys eat today?
Yeah.
And you start those conversations. And then from there, it blossoms when they get older into, oh, boy. You guys are a problem. Good thing we do not have HR here.
Yes.
Because especially in college, those O-line rooms, it's always good to drop in on an O-line meeting, but before the meeting really gets underway, you never come in at the end because that thing smells rancid afterwards. Because they're just in there eating and farting the entire time.
You got to let out the room farts.
Yeah, I mean, you got to get in there early, drop in, get your laughs, and then you're out. Because that place is going to stink in a hot minute. Oh, man. All right. Well, look at this. 3rd and 4th, Hillsboro football wasn't allowed to keep score, but we all definitely kept score, especially the parents. Bingo.
Yeah, coaching my kid in soccer, 1st and 2nd grade. No keeping score, but they knew.
Oh, they all knew.
They all knew.
My 6-year-old played soccer for the first time, 3-on-3 on a tiny field with small pop-up goals. Her team was winning 23-0, and she kept calling out the score every time her team scored.
That's brutal.
Somebody raised their kid right.
21.
Just licking her finger and putting it up. Another one on the board.
Yeah, I tell you what, that was a little rough when our first 6 games, I think we scored a combined like 2 goals. But
in how many games?
Like the first 6. It was a little rough. Then I scrapped my whole offensive philosophy and said, I pulled a Costanza, and I said, let's do the opposite of what I think is best. And it worked. Game number 7, we tied, and game number 8, we won.
Jeff Russ living his life like George Costanza is the least surprising thing on the radio today. All right, let's get this show on the road, shall we? We've got a lot that we need to get to. The NFL coaching carousel is getting wild. We are really finding out why teams are so dysfunctional, and we have audio to help bring that point along today, and also some quotes. Some quotes from the Chicago Bears owners press conference. Goodness gracious. The Jacksonville Jaguars. Yep, there we are. And why the New York Jets will never figure it out. Also, which NFL teams in the playoffs have the most pressure heading in to the NFL's wild card weekend? But where we got to start this bad boy off, the Blazers fall in Detroit, but there might be some fallout looming. Danny and Dusty on the Fan. There were little balls on it. Balls. Blazers knock off the Detroit Pistons 118-115. Yes, I said that correctly. I know they lost the game, but they knocked it off in the loss column because that was the Pistons now 18-18. Blazers fall to 12-23. Good little loss there for the Blazers.
Snatching defeat from the jaws of victory.
Yeah. And it was that game, it did not, that second half was not pretty.
No.
That was not a.
It wasn't.
Not a great.
It wasn't awful. It was just that
not a great
the first 16 minutes of the game was so damn good. Through 16 minutes of action, they had 47 points on 65% shooting.
Yeah, all right. Way to go.
It was bonkers.
Anthony Simons had himself a night last night.
Yeah, I thought Ant and Shaedon were both really solid. I mean, you get 17 assists between the two of them.
Yeah, last possession wasn't great, a little back and forth affair, but the reality of it was that the Pistons, I mean, they were up by, 5 in the final minute, and it was just kind of one of those back and forths where you're like, whatever. How many times do we see that going the way of the team that's down 5 in the final minute?
Yeah.
And it fizzles out. But, Ant with the ball just kind of, I don't know.
Malik Beasley, Beasley got a
hands.
Fingertip to it, and it made it roll up on his wrist, and he just couldn't get it off.
Yep. Well, as it is, the Blazers lose 118-115. Ant with 36 points, and dude was red hot. What is he, 7 of 10 from the field in the fourth quarter?
Yeah, he had 17 points in the fourth quarter. Yeah, he was phenomenal. Yeah, he had.
It's pretty good.
I want to say in the first 5 minutes of the game, he had 6 points and 6 assists.
Oh, hey,
everything was just cooking.
Yeah.
Denny started out 4 of 4, Ant started out 3 of 3, Shaedon started out 4 of 6. I think DA started out 4 of 6. I mean, when you start that hot, you're inevitably going to cool down. It just the average is always. I mean, the Blazers shot 53-46, but the difference in the game was they somehow only took 5 free throws to the Pistons 22. Which is weird for a team in the Blazers who scored significantly more points in the paint.
Yeah, but the kind of the flow of the game and the looks that they were getting, that kind of makes sense, right? It wasn't like they were getting a lot of contested. They were just getting good looks, I thought, for really the entirety of the game.
And again, I'm not blaming free throws or the officiating. I'm just saying it was a weird anomaly.
No, let's go ahead. Let's blame free throws.
5 to 22 is a pretty 17 free throw difference. It's a pretty significant number.
Yeah, Toumani Camara, still love him. A little turnover issues going on as of late, but he's all over the floor, and I absolutely love it.
Yeah, he is trying to do a little bit more, and I like that. And you're going to live with some of the mistakes. Last year, Chauncey had to reel him in because he got too far out of her skis. But if you look at what Toumani has done over the last 2 weeks,
that game against Milwaukee, he's
averaging
awesome.
14 and 6.
Hey, all right.
Over the last 2 weeks, the thing that I've noticed is over the last couple of weeks, Ant finally looks like himself, and I think him looking like himself is allowing guys more space. It's allowing Shaedon more room to drive. It's allowing space for Denny to drive and for Toumani to work as a back cutter. Chris Murray has looked the best of his career over the last 2 weeks. I think their best offensive player looking like the best version of himself, or the version of himself that we kind of expected.
Sure.
Has allowed everything else, all the other dominoes, to kind of fall into place. That's the 30,000 foot view. It's Ant's averaging over the last 10 games 22, 7 and 3 on 48, 40, 90.
Dang.
Yeah. In his last 5, he's averaging 29 and 8, I think, 29 and 7 on 50, 42, 92. Yeah, he's been on an absolute tear for the last 10 days.
Well, I mean, there was some good that's coming out of it, and look, picking up a loss and seeing performances like the ones that you just have been outlining over the last couple of weeks, especially Ant and Shaedon Sharpe last night. That was great to see. One thing that we did not see was Scoot Henderson, and correct me if I'm wrong, I don't remember seeing him in the fourth quarter at all last night.
he might have gotten out there. Let me check the minutes real quick. I know they kept it short.
I don't think I saw him because
he did not.
Yeah,
so
in the first half, because in the first half we saw a lot of him, and boy, it was not great that first half of action.
No, he played 12 minutes. He was 0 for 2 with
3 turnovers,
two assists and 3 turnovers, and was a -12. Like if you want to talk about the point where like that group that went on the absolute tear. Denny was a +16, Ant was a +14, Shaden +11, Donovan +10. Like that group was very good. When Scoot was out there, it was very bad.
Well, let's open the door to this conversation then, because it goes kind of hand in hand with what was posted on The Ringer just yesterday, where The Ringer posted a least improved players of the 2024-2025 season by Michael Pina. On that list are Tyrese Halliburton, Mike Conley, Patrick Williams, Jonathan Kuminga, oh boy, Jalen Green, and Scoot Henderson of the Portland Trailblazers. And there is you want to talk about some critiques that are scathing. This one is a pretty damning one of Scoot Henderson. We'll dive into that after Rust with SportsCenter.
This is a Wild Card Week edition of Danny and Dusty.
Brought to you by George McCoy at WarrenAllen.com.
Now, from the Fan Sports Desk, a SportsCenter update on 1080 The Fan.
Jeff Rust with your SportsCenter update. First on The Fan, former Florida State and Alabama receiver Malik Benson has committed to play for Oregon next year, thanks to the recent NCAA ruling on junior college players. Also, wide receiver Evan Stewart announced he will return for another season in lieu of declaring for the NFL draft. Speaking of the NFL, Black Monday has flowed over into Tuesday as the Tennessee Titans have fired GM Ran Carthon. The team said Brian Callahan will stay on as head coach. Titans finished the season at 3-14. They hold the number 1 overall pick in the 2025 draft. The Chargers signing running back Ezekiel Elliott to their practice squad today after averaging only 3.1 yards per carry on just 74 carries in 15 games this season. Elliott was waived by the Cowboys earlier this month. And after being carted off the field Sunday against the Vikings, Lions quarterback Terrion Arnold now considered day-to-day with a foot contusion. Detroit with a bye this weekend for Wild Card Weekend. They'll face the lowest remaining seed in the divisional round as the NFC's top seed. And an NBA doubleheader tonight on TNT. First up, Lakers at the Mavericks. That's a 4:30 tip. Dallas 6.5-point home dogs. Then at 7 o'clock, it's the Nuggets. They are 5.5-point home dogs hosting the defending champion Celtics. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Jeff Rust at the Fan Sports Desk. Listen live or on demand on the Odyssey app, the Fan's desktop player, or tell your smart speaker to play 1080 The Fan.
Tired of getting dinged by subscriptions? We won't send you a bill. Portland's sports leader, 1080 The Fan.
Portland Trailblazers' loss to the Pistons may have something looming a little bit larger. Scoot Henderson did not play in the fourth quarter, was minus 10 in his 12 minutes of action in the first half against Detroit. And that comes on the same day that The Ringer posted their least improved players of the 2024-2025 NBA season. Mike Opina did this. And Scoot Henderson, one of several players, including Mike Conley, Tyrese Halliburton, Jonathan Kuminga, Jalen Green, who all were on this list. But Scoot Henderson's critique might be the most scathing of any of them on this least improved list.
Yeah, there's a thread you can pull from this article. Jonathan Kuminga, Jalen Green, Scoot Henderson. Where did they all come from?
The G League.
The Ignite. I have said it multiple times now. I think not only was it a problem, it has and did a disservice to every single player.
Yeah. And guys like Mike Conley, it's like, dude, father time undefeated.
38.
Tyrese Halliburton, that injury that he had in the playoffs last year or in the regular season.
The hamstring, yeah.
And then leaked into the playoffs. It still looks like it is affecting him. And then you have, Scoot is on this list. And I'll just read the first paragraph because, boy, this one is scathing from Michael Pina. It's hard to be the most disappointing player in your draft class 2 years in a row, but despite expectations taking a downward turn after his abysmal rookie season, Henderson has somehow done it. He isn't worse per se, but it's hard to go lower when you're already in the basement. In his rookie season, Scoot committed more turnovers per 100 possessions than anybody else and had the lowest true shooting percentage among all qualified players. His jumper is still so broken that there was one play earlier this season in which he caught a pass with less than 2 seconds on the shot clock, and the nearest defender still decided to close out on his teammate.
And that's the thing here. For everybody who is clamoring for Scoot Henderson to play more minutes, and I have a rule: I don't kill rookies on their first contract, so I'm not out on Scoot. He has been disappointing. There's not a single metric you can point to and be like, hey, there's something here. Again, according to Cleaning the Glass, okay, his points per shot attempt, while improved, it has gone from the 9th percentile last year to the 16th percentile this year. His turnover rate, while improved league-wide, from the 5th percentile to the 14th percentile, he's gone from 17.5% turnover rate to 18.4. Okay? His shooting, he has gone from 7th percentile in the league in rim finishing to 14th percentile in the league. And again, low numbers here are bad.
Yeah.
His effective field goal percentage has gone from the 7th percentile to the 16th percentile. His three-point percentage has gone from the 20th percentile to the 18th percentile. For everybody who's like, well, Scoot gets them organized and they do this. Look, man, I'm not going to disagree with you on that. I do agree that he gets them organized. But if you're atrocious at the rim, you're atrocious as a three-point shooter, you're turning the ball over at a league-high rate, and you're like, well, but the intrinsic little brother, find another place to sell it.
Yeah.
He has got, for him to get the minutes that you want, for all of the get rid of Ant and give it to Scoot, he has got to earn it. Yeah. If he puts 25, 30 games together where you start seeing things make a little bit more sense, sure, let's go down that path.
I think there's a point in here where I go, yes, this is kind of what I've seen watching Scoot, and it's one of those things where you go, man, is something ever going to click in this regard? Pina says he still thinks too much, doesn't seem to trust his own athleticism in spots where he absolutely should.
Mm-hmm.
It almost feels like when you watch Scoot, there are long stretches of the game where it doesn't feel like he has an idea of where he wants to go with the ball when he gets it in his hands, right?
Yeah.
And that's not, he doesn't trust whether it's trusting his athleticism or trusting the system and what they want to run conceptually on the floor. Like, it just doesn't seem like he has a lot of trust in himself or what they're trying to do.
The thing that, I've mentioned this before. I've talked to a bunch of starting in Scoot's rookie year. The first probably 25, 30 games when veteran point guards came to town, I sidled up with multiple all-stars and was like, hey, I'm kind of doing this background research for Scoot. I just what are the things that you needed to learn as a rookie point guard? What were the most important things? And to a man, it is understand your matchup, have a plan, be decisive. And those are the three things that Scoot Henderson does not show regularly. That is, to me, that is the more underlying issue than the shooting or the finishing. It just doesn't look like he knows what he wants to do and when he wants to do it. Now, when he does show that, it looks better. I was talking to a scout when they were here on their last homestand, and I was asking him about Scoot. And I go, what do you see with him? And he goes, beyond the skill stuff, he's just not precise. And I go, what do you mean by precise? He goes, watch his footwork when he drives. And I go, yeah, it's a problem. And he goes, that's the thing. If you don't know how many steps it takes you to get to a certain spot, how can you have your feet underneath you? When you drill this stuff, everybody wants to be like, oh, it's you're just hooping. Go watch James Harden, Chris Paul, Damian Lillard. Watch guards who their Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Do you think that's just him freewheeling on the fly? Or has he repped that footwork a million times? And not just doing it to do it, it's precise. It's 1-2 here. It's the same thing over and over. Ant and Dame is a good one. I don't like going to it because everybody hammers it. Look at their footwork. It is the same every single time. And it's you're starting to see Shaedon tighten that up. And look at the results. It's getting better. The thing that stands out is that everything about Scoot needs to be tightened up. Everything about him, whether it's precision with his footwork, whether it's precision in his passing, precision with his finishing. It's the craft. And I think it all started with the Ignite. Mm-hmm. I think that's where it all started.
And I think being in the Ignite when he was, 17 years old?
Yeah, he's there for 2 years.
He was there for 2 years. Coming into the NBA when you are 19 years old. And look, I think people forget he is still 20, and he can shore up a lot.
Yes.
But at the same time, there is, in some of those numbers that you were reading off were improvements, right?
Yes.
But overall, from year 1 to year 2, even those small improvements are a regression because of the fact that he has played,
90
10
games from 100 games right now. I think he's at 90 or 91. Yeah,
those are considered a regression because the game should be slowing down, and it's not. Yeah. Some numbers are going backwards. Others, we've seen some slight improvements.
And he's had more moments this year than he did all of last year combined.
But I think that those 2 years at 17 and 18 years old with the Ignite, coming into a situation where expectations were through the roof and we're not helped by the fan base or the organization, if we're being quite honest, when you draft a guy 3rd overall and you want... They told us that, they were going to be asking a lot of Scoot Henderson as a foundational block of this team, and he wasn't ready for it. And
they started
we're seeing that he's not.
They started him last year. They gave him that opportunity, and he was one of the least productive players in the entire NBA. It was very bad. It was one of those things where it was so detrimental to the rest of the team that they could no longer start him.
And I think that, as part of Pina's piece here, where he's talking about the least improved players in the NBA, and his point on Scoot is that he's only been on the floor for 8 final buzzers this season.
Mm-hmm. I mean, last night he didn't play the fourth quarter because...
Didn't play the entirety of the fourth quarter, let alone when the game ended.
Because he was so poor in that game. The line in this piece, and this is where I raise the eyebrows, because when I look at Scoot, and this is kind of what I try to explain to people when why is Ant doing this, or why is DeAndre doing this, or what the veteran stuff, right? And this is from Pina, if he can't, he's just talking about Scoot here, and if Scoot, can't space the floor or be trusted with the ball in his hands, it will be hard for Chauncey Billups to play him with other members of Portland's core. Knowing their development will be affected by the strain Henderson's flaws put them through. You can't put Scoot Henderson out there with Toumani Camara, Denny Avdia, and Donovan Clingan.
That's a problem.
Who's the shooter in that lineup? It's Shaedon.
Shaedon and then Denny.
Well, I was going to say Denny.
Yeah, but Shaedon and Denny.
But those are the things that you're kind of wanting those guys to work on. Mm-hmm. So if you've got a guy who is already.
But Denny he's been shooting really well.
Look, I love Denny. His flaw is that he's an inconsistent shooter.
Okay.
Like that's the thing. Like
fair enough.
Last year was his record year. I think he shot just over 37% as a 3-point shooter. And that was because he shot incredibly well from the corners. He started off incredibly poor this year. But now you're starting to see him kind of work his way into it. And this is my whole thing with Scoot. If Scoot all of a sudden flips a switch and earns minutes, give him the minutes. I think when Chauncey was out and Nate Bjorkgren closed the game with Chauncey, it's very easy to close a game with the Hall of Famer. They closed the game with Scoot Henderson. Everybody's like, see, it's Nate Bjorkgren. It's like, no, Scoot was good. Mm-hmm. He was very good, and he got that opportunity. The very next game, he wasn't as good. Anthony Simons was better, and guess who closed the game? Anthony Simons. It's like, for Scoot, he is just, for everybody's like, well, he needs the opportunity. No, he needs to show that he can uplift himself and others. And if he does that, he will get the opportunity. Of that, I have no doubt.
Do we feel like there may be I mean, when do you pull the ripcord on it? Because of what you said, the most problematic thing that you see there is you can't put him on the floor with those foundational pieces that Portland is building with. I mean, is Scoot a guy that we see maybe on another team?
I don't think they chauncey him. I don't think it's anywhere near that with the organization. But post trade deadline, I do very much believe he is going to get a lot of room, and it might not be make or break, but
that's your time. That's your time.
Like, you got 30 games, brother.
Yeah.
Time to show it. Otherwise, then you start raising eyebrows.
It's really interesting, though, that a lot of the things that you're talking about with the craft and all that stuff. And look, this is not unique to Scoot Henderson because, as you mentioned, two of those other guys on this list are G League Ignite guys. The guys who went to the G League Ignite with the idea that they were going to learn how to be pros before getting to the pros all lack seemingly
the professional stuff,
the professionalism of what it takes to do the little things to become a great basketball player.
It's I mean, there's a reason why the Ignite folded.
Yep.
Look, and I'm
not
working, and I'm not against those guys getting their money. Like, what the reason they did that, or because they did that, it accelerated NIL. It 100% accelerated NIL because all of a sudden professional leagues were popping up as options for high schoolers.
Mm-hmm.
And the second that happened, it was like, oh, this is there it's going to go.
Yep.
So,
all right. Well, you can rejoice because your coach was just fired.
Thank the Lord.
I'm not talking about Chauncey Billups. There's a lot of people that are like, fire Chauncey. No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about Danny's favorite team's coach. Next on The Fan. Las Vegas Raiders have fired Antonio Pierce after 1 season in the desert as the full-time head coach. 4-13. Here gone.
Bring me Ben Johnson.
Yeah, good luck with that. Now 6 head coaching vacancies across the National Football League. And I think it's really interesting. You look at, we have Gerard Mayo, 1 and done.
Yeah.
Antonio Pierce, 1 and done.
And I've already seen people be like, well, Dan Campbell got, an opportunity and it's like, there's a difference.
Yeah.
The Patriots and the Raiders were inept and dysfunctional and broken and without a plan. Both organizations, it wasn't just they lacked talent. They weren't good or functional.
Yeah. Yeah. How is the Raiders defense this year? Because Patriots defense isn't going to be awful.
No, the Raiders defense was okay, but they were also banged up. That's kind of like been the thing.
Well, they fire him after 1 year. Now we have the Jags looking for a head coach, the Saints, Bears, Jets, Patriots, Raiders. Those are your head coaching vacancies. And look, unfortunately for you, you said bring me Ben Johnson.
Mm-hmm.
Why would Ben Johnson go to
Brock Bowers?
Brock Bowers.
That's the only reason.
With literally
he's the only
nobody to throw him the football.
That's the only reason he would go.
I mean, and this is like the really tough part is that like you look at these head coaching vacancies in the vacancies that are open, the young hot offensive mind is going to want to go to the team that has the guy behind center, right? And right now there's 3 teams that are head and shoulders above the rest of them. They are Caleb Williams with the Chicago Bears, Drake May with the New England Patriots, and then you have Trevor Lawrence, I think, in Jacksonville. You're going to get somebody who's like, no, we can still do this. He's been riddled with injuries, has had a lot of different systems. We need to simplify it for this guy. We've got a really good young wide receiver in Brian Thomas. Like, we can do something in Jacksonville. I think those 3, and then you look at the other 3, the Jets with maybe an aging Aaron Rodgers, the Raiders with no quarterback, like none to speak of.
I mean,
and then the Saints, who are in salary cap hell. The Saints right now have 52 guys signed to next year's roster. Their cap space is negative $72 million.
Yeah, dang.
Negative $72 million. Okay. Their actual cap space, that's the effective cap space, so that's essentially what they're working with. Their actual cap space is negative $66 million for next year. Okay. That is one that one is dead last. Then you have probably the Raiders in their situation, in what they're going through. Would you go Jets or Jags next?
Worst?
Yeah, the next worst.
Jets,
just because aging quarterback but I mean, you have some pieces that are there.
I think Jags do too, but also their quarterback is
younger. Yeah. Then you're looking at the Patriots and the Bears, where I told you this during the break. The Patriots have 44 guys signed to next year's roster.
And then you told me how much cap space they had.
Their cap space is $127,694,000.
Holy crap.
With their effective cap space being $114 million, with 44 guys on
which means they
signed.
Could go get Tyreek Hill, and it wouldn't cause them to bat an eye.
Can I just rewind like 10 seconds and go back to the Jets and Woody Johnson?
Yeah.
You know that place is absolutely dysfunctional when he has to come out and say, no, my teenage son is not helping make decisions on the team.
It was teenage sons. Jack Johnson and Brick Johnson.
Yeah.
Okay.
God, that's just a couple of D-bag a-holes.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, well, I don't know. They're
Brick Johnson.
I mean,
Woody, Brick, and Jack, and their last name is Johnson.
I mean, they know they're doing.
I mean,
I feel like with Jack, he missed the mark, and he should have named him Richard.
I mean,
yeah. But the Bears have got $60 million in effective cap space, $80 million overall that they can spend this year too, which they got money to burn, man. And so this is going to be the tough spot with Antonio Pierce and the Raiders firing their coaches. That one, you're behind the 8 ball with everybody else lining up their interviews. 2, you don't have a quarterback, and that's the biggest issue with a lot of these teams right now, right? Unless you go and you say, we are going to hire Dion, and we are going to make sure that Shedeur Sanders goes nowhere but the Las Vegas Raiders, who they may have been 4-13, but as of right now, they're drafting 6th in the draft.
Which all of the draft projections right now have Cam Ward going number 1.
Good luck, Tennessee. I like Cam Ward a lot, but
the highs of Cam Ward are very high. The lows are very low.
And it's not like one of those Josh Allen type things where it's like, well, Josh Allen just didn't perform well against he couldn't beat the big teams that he played. Well, he was at Wyoming, right? Cam Ward was at Miami this year, and we still saw those dips. Were the dips as significant as they were when he was at Washington State? But no, Washington State was still a pretty talented team when he was there too. I have
it was his defense that let him down at Miami.
Oh boy!
But I'm looking
some of those throws where you're like, you're not going to get away with that in the NFL.
But he also makes some throws where you go, that's
big time.
That's a big time throw.
I like him a lot, but I don't know.
This is
not a great quarterback class.
Not even Raiders exceptionalism. This is the opposite of that. It is I am talking myself into anything. If you're the Raiders, do you use the 37th overall pick on Jackson Dart?
You just go ripping darts in Vegas?
Like,
I love it, dude.
Because he's the 3rd quarterback on the board.
Heck yeah.
He's the 3rd quarterback on the board.
Let's go rip some darts, baby.
That's where they're at. It's Cam, it's Shedeur, then it's Jackson Dart.
This is Jackson Dart at the Spearmint Rhino.
Possibilities are endless.
I mean,
I think like a name like Jackson Dart. I mean, he's holding down the Hold'em room at the Golden Nugget.
Oh,
right?
God, yeah.
Either that or he's at Excalibur hanging out in the lobby, then going to moonlight at Thunder Down Under.
I mean, does he become the new Marlboro Man?
Hell yeah. All right. Well, hey, I have some. Do you want to know the betting odds on all the other coaching positions? Because I have those.
Oh,
we can get into those.
Let's get into those.
Okay. We'll do that to kick off hour number 2, and we also in hour number 2 we've got our worst day on the web and which team has the most pressure heading into the NFL playoffs. Danny and Dusty on the Fan.
FanSportsDesk.com. First on The Fan, former Florida State and Alabama receiver Malik Benson has committed to play for Oregon next year thanks to the recent NCAA ruling on junior college players. Also, wide receiver Evan Stewart announced he'll return for another season in Eugene rather than declare for the NFL draft. Speaking of the NFL, their Black Monday has overflowed into Tuesday. This morning, the Titans firing GM Ran Carthon, but they said Brian Callahan will stay on as head coach. Titans hold the number 1 overall pick in the 2025 draft, and now ESPN's Adam Schefter reporting the Raiders have fired head coach Antonio Pierce. After being carted off the field Sunday against the Vikings, Lions cornerback Terrion Arnold now considered day-to-day with a foot contusion. Detroit has a bye for this wild card weekend as the NFC's number 1 seed. They'll face the lowest remaining seed in the divisional round. The Chargers signing running back Ezekiel Elliott to their practice squad today. He averaged 3.1 yards per carry on just 74 carries in 15 games this season in Dallas before he was waived earlier this month. And in the association, an NBA doubleheader tonight on TNT. First up, Lakers at the Mavericks for a 4:30 tip. Dallas are 6.5-point home dogs. Then at 7 o'clock, it's the Nuggets as 5.5-point home dogs hosting the defending champion Celtics. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Jeff Rust at the Fan Sports Desk. Listen live or on demand on the Odyssey app, the Fan's desktop player, or tell your smart speaker to play 1080 The Fan.
The Fan Merch Locker has a new long-sleeve tee and hoodies in your favorite college colors. Get yours now at 1080thefan.com. We're getting you ready for pro football's postseason.
Playoffs? Don't talk about playoffs.
This is a wild card week edition of Danny and Dusty.
Injured? Don't trust just anyone to something so personal. Call George McCoy at Warren Allen. Online at warrenallen.com.
Danny and Dusty on 1080.
You kidding me? Playoffs?
The Fan.
Hour number 2, Danny and Dusty. Thanks for being a part of our day, letting us be a part of yours, whether it's on 1080 AM, 99.52, the Odyssey app, twitch.tv/1080am, The Fan, or youtube.com/1080am, The Fan. Party on, you party people. The Raiders have fired Antonio Pierce after one season, 4-13 this year. There are now 6 head coaching vacancies across the National Football League. I, thanks to our good friend Jimmy Shapiro from betonline.ag, have the odds for the next head coach of each of these jobs, with the exception of the Raiders. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
But maybe you can get a little hope for your Raiders off of these lists of guys that are out here. Would you care to guess who the odds-on favorite is for the Chicago Bears' next head coaching job? 2-1 odds for this guy. 2-1.
2-1 for the Bears?
Yeah.
They're not in the Vrabel sweepstakes, so...
Mike Vrabel, 8-1.
And the Ben Johnson stuff isn't really gaining much steam.
4-1.
Mike McCarthy.
Is it McCarthy?
It is not Mike McCarthy. Oh. He's 33-1.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
It is...
I was way off.
Cliff Kingsbury, 2-1 odds.
Where is that coming from?
Well, an S show in Chicago. I mean, like, have you seen some of the names that have popped up?
Oh, it's insane.
Like, David Shaw is in there, and
yeah.
David Shaw's working
as a consultant
for the Broncos, and he does have an NFL background. Actually, started with the Raiders before going to the college ranks, where I think everybody knows him and knows his name. But right now, Cliff Kingsbury, former offensive coordinator at USC with Caleb Williams, who has turned Jaden Daniels into not just a very good quarterback as a rookie. But here's the thing with Cliff Kingsbury. He is one of the best play callers in football at any level.
He's not a great head coach.
He is not a great head coach. His record at Texas Tech was not good. His record with the Arizona Cardinals was not good. He is not a great head coach. And you know what? That's okay.
He's a phenomenal... what he does with quarterbacks and offenses is unreal.
But the dysfunction of the Chicago Bears has seemingly led to a lot of people cooling on going to Chicago. And you hear today what... George McCaskey, the son of the what's her name?
Virginia
McCaskey, who's now running the shots and calling the shots for the Bears. This was his comment on whether alignment between the GM and head coach is important during the interview process.
Ooh.
I don't believe that that's a key factor. In what world of professional sports is your general manager and your head coach not being aligned a key factor? What? What are we talking about? So that's wild. And then Ryan Poles, do you see what Ryan Poles said? Like a reporter gave this was a year of disruption and stress in Caleb's rookie year. And he goes, what do you mean by that? And he's like, well, you fired the offensive coordinator, then you fired the head coach, which meant he had another new offensive coordinator. I think that's kind of what we're talking about here. And he's like, nah, I don't agree with that.
It doesn't make any sense.
So that might be why you're hearing guys like Ben Johnson cool on Chicago, right? So Cliff Kingsbury is the odds-on favorite, according to Bet Online, for the Bears job.
Would that be one where perhaps you bring in a very experienced offensive coordinator / associate like head coach to help kind of guide Kingsbury
I think you probably
along the
want
way?
to do that on the defensive side.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
let
sure.
Cliff call the offense and then but there's also the issue with that is every one of these coaches have an ego. And if there's a guy that can be seen as the guy that can replace you as soon as you're fired, it's always a little iffy.
So Kingsbury's 2-1 odds. Ben Johnson behind him at 4-1. Then Aaron Glenn, the defensive coordinator for the Lions. Brian Flores, Vikings defensive coordinator.
They can't go defensive-minded coach. They
at
can't.
6-1. And then Notre Dame head coach Marcus Freeman, 7-1 odds. And then you get to Mike Vrabel and Todd Monken, the offensive coordinator for the Ravens.
There's too many defensive-minded coaches on that list. And I know it's the Bears, it's what they do, blah, 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 blah. That's the problem, is that you haven't had an offensive-minded coach ever.
Ooh. Pete Carroll, 33-1. John Gruden, 50-1. Steve Sarkisian, 50-1. Bill Belichick,
yeah, did you see that getting, like, even the mildest traction last night?
No.
Yeah, they started. I started seeing it pop up in the sports talk shows that Sarkisian.
Sark. I thought you were talking about Bill Belichick.
No.
Yeah,
Sark to Chicago. Like if they win a title, and I'm like, oh, Sark, no.
There's other places that Sark is popping up for though.
Well, because I saw the thing.
Where there's smoke, there's fire.
Yeah,
man.
With Belichick too, how his buyout is only $10 million. So it's like, hey, an NFL owner won't balk at that.
After March, it goes down even more.
Yeah, and the whole idea of like if you're a head coach somewhere, your agent's not doing his job if he's not putting your name out there.
All right, Jags next head coach. Ben Johnson, not the odds-on favorite there either. He's plus 150.
He should be.
Joe Brady is third at 5-1. Mike Vrabel fourth at 9-1. Cliff Kingsbury 10-1 is fifth best odds there. The leader in the clubhouse right now, according to BetOnline.ag, is Tampa Bay Buccaneers offensive coordinator Liam Cohen, 1-3. He is minus 300 to be the Jags' next head coach.
It's a short trip, and probably I would imagine if it's that low, discussions have already been had.
Yep, Sark 33-1 for that job.
I could see that being a landing spot for Sark.
Yep. Patriots next head coach. This one is like the big rumor that's out there because he changed his Twitter avatar to when he played for the Patriots.
Oh, it's Vrabel.
Mike Vrabel, minus 400, 1-4. The next closest is former Patriots defensive coordinator Brian Flores, who's now the DC with the Vikings at 4-1. Ben Johnson, 6-1 there. Cliff Kingsbury, 8-1. Aaron Glenn.
I would say Aaron Glenn, right?
Also former Patriot, 12-1.
That one seems surprising. Vrabel to me
Bill Belichick 500-1.
We'll take your money.
Pete Carroll 100-1.
Vrabel is definitely the favorite. If I was going to go another way, I would go on Aaron Glenn.
And now here is what I believe to be the dumpster fire of the head coaching cycle: the New York Jets right now.
Yeah, this is insane.
Would you like to take a guess? I mean, the top four are boy
are they names.
Good luck with this.
It's Rex Ryan's one, isn't he?
Rex Ryan is third.
Yeah. Oh God.
Yeah. Rex Ryan is third.
Is it all four? Is it all retreads?
No.
The top four.
Well, no. The leaders right now, actually leaders, are Jeff Ulbrich, the interim head coach.
Oh God.
At 9-4 plus 225.
Oof.
And Mike Vrabel at plus 225, who after he interviewed, he changed his profile picture to him playing for the Patriots.
Yeah, that's.
Then Rex Ryan is plus 240. Then Ron Rivera, 6-1 odds.
Well, we talked to Ron in D.C. at the Army-Navy game pregame, and I kind of think they need that kind of coach to come in there and law and order that thing. It may not be received.
Well, Aaron Rodgers will not be your quarterback.
Yeah.
And I don't think that that's a good fit. The New York media and Ron Rivera.
You're right on that. Do you understand? Do you understand what I'm saying? Though
I know. I know what you're saying.
They need somebody to come down and set a culture, because culturally, foundationally, it starts at the very top with Woody Johnson. It's just they allow too much.
I love this. Bill Belichick. They have odds on Bill Belichick for even the Patriots job with 500 to 1. He's not even listed for the Jets.
He beat them too badly for too long for him to accept that job.
And he took the job and left that job within a week.
Yeah.
So I don't. Sark does not pop up on the Jets.
That's not
list.
surprising. I don't think Sark would show up on any list that doesn't have a quarterback that's going to be there for at least 3
Here's
years.
an interesting one. Pete Carroll does 16 to 1. Pete Carroll, now the Law and Order may be one way, going Pete Carroll may be another.
That could be also, if you're talking about for 2-3 years being your bridge coach, there is no coach in the NFL with better vibes than Pete.
Yeah. And boy, he and Aaron Rodgers would be conspiracy theories those two would talk about. Oh boy.
It would either be the best pairing for Aaron and Pete ever, or the absolute worst. It is either oil and water. I mean, it's either oil and water, or it is just pure bliss.
Yeah.
There's no it kind of worked.
Yeah.
It would. You know what? Actually, sign me up for this.
Right?
Sign me up for this.
I mean, all that means is that Rex Ryan will be the coach of the Jets again. He did interview today. Rex Ryan did interview for the Jets job today. Remember, former head coach 2009 through 2014, Jets went to back-to-back AFC championship games in his first 2 seasons there in 2009 and 2010. Those were his only 2 seasons as a head coach, either in New York or Buffalo, where he was over 500. So he interviewed today, and then you also have got the Saints job is open. And I thought this one was interesting. That is a really tough job right now, right? They are already $66 million over the cap. They have very little wiggle room here to do anything moving forward. Where are they drafting it? New Orleans in the draft, they are picking 9th in the draft. Yeah. So you're in a tough spot in New Orleans. The odds-on favorite is Joe Brady at 1-3, minus 300 odds. And remember, Joe Brady, before he was the offensive coordinator at LSU and Ed Orgeron, they hired him based on the fact that they went to the Saints and they wanted to learn about RPOs, and they said, we got this guy. And he was just an analyst for the Saints. And he started talking about RPO game, and he had cut-ups for him, and they were blown away to the point where they're like, you're our offensive coordinator. We're hiring you. And he only went on to call plays for the most prolific offense in college football history.
Is that good?
The 2019 LSU Tigers, which they were also pretty loaded.
Yeah, they had some good players in that team.
Don't know if you've ever heard of them. Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson. Those guys are pretty good. Thaddeus Moss was tight end. They're all right. Yeah. They're okay. But Joe Brady is the odds-on favorite. And then here's where it goes to, okay, this is a really tough job. Kellen Moore, Aaron Glenn. Kellen Moore, by the way, offensive coordinator for the Eagles now. Aaron Glenn, the defensive coordinator for the Lions. Matt Nagy, former Bears head coach, back with Andy Reid in Kansas City. And then Mike Kafka, former backup to the Stars. And Kafka is, I believe, a quarterback's coach. Yeah, I don't know. Giants offensive coordinator.
Yeah.
Giants.
Where
Brian Daboll calls the plays. So Mike Kafka coming in there.
Yeah,
that's good. Do any of those names that we've said though spark your interest for the Raiders job?
I don't want the Raiders to go defensive minded.
All right.
But if
Brian Flores seems like he would,
be
a decent guy.
If they did, it would be Aaron Glenn.
Aaron Glenn?
Yeah.
You'd want Aaron Glenn?
Yeah. We've talked about this. For me, what I want
Not
to see
variable, huh?
I just don't think he would come to the Raiders. Although with Brady,
Tom Brady,
maybe that is a connection that's there. But
Tom Brady,
I wouldn't be against Vrabel. But I want somebody. The thing I love about Aaron Glenn is his aggression. If you're gonna have a defense and you're like in the NFL, stylistically, I like a coordinator that just likes to get after it. Like likes to be disruptive, like to send exotic blitzes. Just that's how I want to see a team built. So if they were going to go down that path, I think that's kind of what I like. But Vrabel's also a guy that prioritized, complementary football, line play. I mean, those Tennessee teams, when they were good, even when they didn't have a quarterback, they were functional everywhere else.
Run the football, throw to Brock Bowers.
I mean, yeah.
Well, that's all you have on offense right now.
That's literally all they have on offense.
That's really all they have. All right.
I mean, the interesting one that is circulating right now is the picture of Tom Brady doing his TB12 stuff with Dion and Shedeur.
Oh, great. That should make you feel confident. How happy are you about that?
It's
Coach Brian.
Look, the likelihood of this happening is not zero. It's not even close to that. It's probably like 25%.
Yeah, I can't wait until the odds come out on this one.
The more I think about it,
Coach Prime, let's go.
Look, Adam Schefter just tweeted out that Brady's going to be a part of this and basically hinted at he's the reason why AP is gone.
Well, you can thank Tom Brady for that. Say something nice about Tom Brady. You wanted Antonio Pierce gone.
Thank you, Tom Brady.
Yes. See, I told you he's an angel.
God. Hate this man. I'll still hold it against him.
I like this text. Should the Saints hire a coach with the plan of drafting Arch Manning to have Arch Manning 2.0?
What is old is new again? Well, the Jets are talking about bringing back Rex Ryan, so why not?
All right.
Dysfunction breeds dysfunction.
This is what you need to do then.
That in 40 years, they'll win a Super Bowl again.
This is what you need. David Cutcliffe. He was Peyton's offensive coordinator. He was Eli's head coach. Bring Cuddy to the New Orleans Saints. That's how you get Arch. And that Manning family knows how to manipulate their way to get their kids to where they want to be.
It's all about the long con.
All right. Let's get to it. The NFL playoffs get underway on Saturday with the Chargers and the Texans. Which team is facing the most pressure entering the playoffs this year? 503-864-6326. That's a Vancouver Ford text line. This is Danny and Dusty on The Fan. NFL playoffs get underway with the Houston Texans taking on the Chargers Saturday down in Houston. Have you seen the rundown of the Houston Texans Saturday wildcard games?
I'm assuming it's every wildcard game they've ever been in.
I was going to say, you mean all of them?
The Saturday 1:30 kick, which is 1:30 local time here on the West Coast, right? That's that game that everybody's like, oh my gosh, this has got to be the worst game of the playoffs in the wild card round. The Houston Texans have played that Saturday game in 2011, 12, 15, 16, 18, 19, 23, and 24.
It's so weird because those teams have been good, and Houston's like the 5th biggest market in the country. Like, why do they get shoehorned in that? I don't understand it.
Well, it's because it's like, are they always the team, though, that everybody's like, yeah, they're not going to win a Super Bowl?
Well,
Yeah,
is it
I
also maybe
guess.
just the age of the franchise, perhaps? Because
Yeah,
they're
I
still
don't
such
know.
a young franchise. I mean,
they are,
young,
and they
like
aren't.
as an organization, not as in terms of the players.
No. I mean,
By the way, would you guys like to know the years that the Houston Texans have made the playoffs?
Yeah.
In their franchise's history?
is it every one of those years?
11, 12, 15, 16, 18, 19, 23, 24.
Like, they've got a very good young coach. They've got a very good young quarterback. They've got, like, high-profile players. They're in the 5th biggest market. Like, all of these things that, like, you would think that would lift them up a little bit,
Yeah. Yeah, no.
you know?
I'm excited to see that game, though. I think the Chargers and the Texans can be a fun game, though. Two flawed teams that nobody believes will win a Super Bowl this year. But that could be a fun game, and that's why you put a Saturday.
Yeah. What if Harbaugh drags the corpse of the Chargers, like, into the AFC title game? It
That would
won't-
be
it
the
won't
be-
happen.
That would be the best coaching job of all time.
I
Because
mean,
that means he'd have to go through the Chiefs and or the Bills to do it, or
Well,
Ravens. Either one of them. Well, because they reseed, depending on
that's
how it
right,
goes.
duh.
You're going to have to be the Chiefs, Bills, Ravens, and any combo of like two of those
Two of
three.
those. Good Lord.
Yeah. So, yeah, that would be surprising.
I just started thinking about it. I was just like, then would he just become the greatest coach of all time? Like, at
I
that
think he
moment?
needs a Super Bowl. If he gets a Super Bowl,
Yeah.
if he gets a Super Bowl, you could go, it's really hard to argue. He did it in college, he did it in the pros, and he's been wildly successful.
On every single team.
Actually, it doesn't mean squat till he wins an OSAA 6A state title. So you have to come to the high school ranks, Jim.
Taking over Mountainside.
All right.
Taking my old Beaverton Beavers.
Hey, they have an opening.
Even my new neighbors, the Westview Wildcats.
Oh, hey, all right.
You know?
All right, with the playoffs set, though, which team has the most pressure this year? Because I think it can really come down to 3 teams to kind of get over the hump. And all of it's a little bit different. I think, like, the Kansas City Chiefs, with the way that this year's gone, you go 15-2 in the regular season, and that second loss, you didn't play anybody. You were 15-1 heading into the final week of the regular season. And everybody, hand up, myself included, say, this team has got their flaws, but all they do is they find ways to win. And I think you won back-to-back Super Bowls. I don't think there's pressure to win a third. I think that
internally, sure, but
externally, it's like, dude,
everybody's giving you the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah,
everyone is.
Yeah, you're on the gravy train.
They,
You're
honestly,
on a gravy train with biscuit wheels, baby.
Honestly, they could lose their first playoff game, and I don't think people would call it disappointing. They would go,
It finally caught up.
It finally caught up.
Yep.
That's like
Yep.
they have a. It's not a built-in excuse, but they have a built-in excuse.
Yeah.
Because nobody's ever done this before.
But you can look at the 2 seed in the AFC, the Buffalo Bills.
I think they have more pressure than anyone, and it's not just the pressure of this season or the Josh Allen era. It is the entirety of the Buffalo Bills' existence.
Yeah. Poor Bills. I mean, if they make it to a Super Bowl and lose this year, it may break them.
That's what I mean. Like, it's an existential thing.
Yeah. But I think also, if we were to rewind and we have this conversation back in August or early September, would we say that pressure is there for Buffalo? Because remember, this is a retooled back end of their defense, right? Week 1, they lose another linebacker. Milano goes out with the injury. Stephon Diggs and everything that happens there. And it's like Josh Allen has no one to throw to, right? If we were to go back at the beginning of the year and we just assess where this team is and where they've come from, this was a retooling year for them. And to be where they're at, does that alleviate a little bit of that pressure?
I don't think so. Okay. I think particularly with Josh Allen's
having an MVP year,
very likely going to win the MVP.
Yeah,
doesn't matter if they have to come in and face Kansas City at some point.
Well, and that's the thing is like they're going to have to exercise a demon.
Yeah, in Kansas City.
Yeah, and that's the thing is like
I bet they changed the way they handle the last 40 seconds of a game.
Probably, and that's the thing is like they've just run up against it where the Bengals got over the hump. Now they didn't get it done, but they got over the hump, right?
Yeah.
The Bills still have yet to exercise that demon.
Can I tickle you with the Philadelphia Eagles? Because right now you're sitting there and you're going, they are a 2 seed. They have a quarterback that was the toast of the NFL in a Super Bowl loss. And now people have legitimate questions as to whether he can be the quarterback that will drag you to a championship. Your head coach also is the king of Philly and then the clown of Philly. On any given week, he gets ridiculed and people want him out of town. Is this a pressure year for Philly? Not to win a Super Bowl, but maybe to get to a Super Bowl, win the NFC, and get there. Because I think that Buffalo, that sliding scale may be a little bit different for Buffalo, right?
I don't think so, simply because the largest part of this is Philly has been there. Beyond that, Jalen Hurts may not play.
And I think he'll be cleared. Concussion protocol, it would be over two. It'd be 2.5.
He's at
3
16
weeks
days
almost.
right now, but that's the thing is like they were talking about this morning, and it didn't sound like he's made any progress.
Yeah. If you don't have Jalen Hurts,
all the pressure. You're not in on the Kenny Pickett show.
That's just like if Josh Allen gets hurt, Buffalo's
it's out the window.
Freebie year.
Yeah,
but if they lose to the Packers this week,
which is if Jalen Hurts doesn't go, I think it's likely.
Right, but if you have Jalen Hurts and Nick Sirianni, you lose to Green Bay at home, wild card weekend, as a 2 seed.
I think Philly in general is going to lose their mind.
I think the pressure is this pairing of Sirianni and Hurts, where the year started with a expose about how dysfunctional their relationship was and the fact that Kellen Moore was brought in as a buffer to go between Sirianni and Jalen Hurts. You have the whole A.J. Brown, Jalen Hurts
with 3
thing.
separate updates throughout the season.
And can that pairing go moving forward? I mean, that's some pretty big damn pressure for this weekend alone.
I think
for
it's
Philly
dysfunctional pressure, but like organizational pressure, I think it's more intrinsic with Philly. You know what I mean? It's both the city, the culture, the franchise. I don't think it's the pressure that we typically associate with like the building process, because Philadelphia's been there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like Jason Kelce has been like, that group ascended the mountain, as it were.
What do you think about like just down the road in Baltimore, though? Like, this is statistically, Lamar Jackson is having a better year than his MVP year last year. You have Derrick Henry as your running back.
And what has been the drawback of him?
You have had your defense, too, has taken a step back this year. But could this be a year where the pressure's mounting? Are you going to waste back-to-back years of the best football Lamar Jackson has played?
And the knock on Lamar has always been, what do you do in the playoffs?
Yep.
And that's the thing, is that he hasn't been able to get that done yet.
And at least this year, you sit there and you go, you can lean on your run game this year, finally.
You're damn right you can.
You don't. There's no excuse of our running backs.
There's no broke down Gus Bus in the backfield. You've got King Henry, ladies and gentlemen. That's the thing about this.
That's some pressure there.
If you want to talk about pressure, you can convince me of that one, because all of the excuses, your coordinator changed, your running game fixed, your weapons better. Now, your defense is problematic for some reason. I don't understand why. Like, you have personnel. It doesn't work for some reason.
They've had a lot of injuries at weird times and different spots.
They've got dudes at every level, and yet even when they were healthier, they were not good.
Yeah.
And I that is the one to me that doesn't make any sense. It's like the Bengals defense being bad because of injuries. I get it. But the Ravens one is just kind of like you look at the Lions, they hit no corners basically.
Yeah.
And yet were good against the Vikings. So it's like, is it a coordinator thing? Like, what's the deal there?
By the way, Terrion Arnold announced it as day-to-day after getting carted off the field.
Yeah.
For the Lions defensive back. Yeah. That's good. Would it surprise you to learn that Baltimore is 9th in the NFL in points allowed this year?
Yes. I mean, they cleaned it up the last couple of weeks because they were not there.
10th in total yards. Top 10 defense.
So there you go.
But it hasn't seemed like the dominant defense that it has in the past, but that's why pressure might be mounting. The last team that I think may have a little bit, and this may just be, do you have to rethink the way you go about your business? The Pittsburgh Steelers. I said this at the beginning of the year. I said this at the middle of the year when they were catching fire and Russell Wilson was playing really well. I don't believe in their quarterback. I don't believe in their offense to win at the highest level. If Pittsburgh gets bounced in the first round and you're sitting there looking at it going, boy, this is exactly what we thought Pittsburgh was going to be. They were 10-7 in the regular season, good enough to make the playoffs. Nobody believes that they have any chance to win a postseason. If they come out and they get run by the Ravens in Baltimore in Wild Card Weekend, do you start rethinking the way you approach your building? Because they're never going to be a contender unless they have a quarterback.
Unless you invest in that side of the ball.
Well, I mean, just having a quarter, like,
you can't.
We know Russell Wilson is not that guy.
They got lucky with Ben, but other than that,
I don't think it was lucky. I mean, they went through and they took it on the chin, and they got Big Ben, right?
By taking it on the chin, they went 8-8.
Yeah, yes, they did, but they got Ben Roethlisberger. And it was a deep quarterback class. This quarterback class is not deep at all. But do you reassess kind of how you go about it? And you say, how can we get over the hump? And in all honesty, it is you have got to improve the quarterback position dramatically.
Because the defense is nice.
And, everywhere else is nice with them. I mean, it is like that's the reality. Is that like
got a good old line, you got a good tight end, you got some weapons on the edge,
great running back. Like they do a really good job of drafting, developing. Mike Tomlin is one of the best coaches in the National Football League, but they will be held back because of that position and really that side of the ball too. You know, on that side of the ball, it is a real challenge for them.
They kind of made a good point today on, I hate to say it, on the Herd, in that the Steelers' current situation was much like the Blazers when they had both Dame and CJ. And be like, hey, you guys can be real good and you can go and win 45, 50 games and you'll make the playoffs and never make any noise.
They are.
And is that good enough?
Yeah. I mean, for Pittsburgh, I think it's starting to wear. I think it's starting to wear. But the consistency of that franchise, unlike any other. And I think they understand the slippery slope, right? To where, all right, so you take a downturn for 1 year. What if that quarterback isn't the guy? What if he isn't the guy that? What if you get Kenny Pickett again?
Oof.
You know, like, and that is the inherent challenge with trying to pick that path and go down that road.
And that's the thing is
maybe they take Jackson Dart.
Oh, don't do that to Jackson.
Dude, ripping darts in Pittsburgh? You kidding me?
I know, it works pretty well.
It'd be awesome.
Works pretty well,
yeah.
For being honest.
Yeah.
I can tell you what doesn't work very well. Being incredibly un-American.
Oh, you're right. That does not work.
But it's from the most un-American person on the face of the planet.
All right.
Kim Jong-un has banned the most American things. That is where we land on our worst day on the web. But first, here's the big
dogs.
Sports and update.
That's that Hawaiian burger joint.
This is a Wild Card Week edition of Danny and Dusty.
Brought to you by George McCoy at WarrenAllen.com.
Now, from the Fan Sports Desk, a SportsCenter update on 1080 The Fan.
This update brought to you by Vulcan Design and Construction. Check out their award-winning outdoor living designs or schedule your free design consultation at vulcandc.com. First on the Fan, former Florida State and Alabama wide receiver Malik Benson has committed to play for Oregon next season thanks to the recent NCAA ruling on junior college players. Also, wide receiver Evan Stewart announced he will return for another season in Eugene rather than declare for the NFL draft. The NFL's Black Monday overflowing into Tuesday. This morning, the Titans fired GM Ran Carthon. They also said, though, Brian Callahan will stay on as head coach. The Titans hold the number 1 overall pick in the 2025 draft. Now ESPN's Adam Schefter reporting the Raiders have also fired head coach Antonio Pierce. The Chargers signing running back Ezekiel Elliott to their practice squad today. He averaged only 3.1 yards per carry on just 74 carries in 15 games this season for the Cowboys and was waived earlier this month. After being carted off the field Sunday against the Vikings, Lions cornerback Terrion Arnold now considered day-to-day with a foot contusion. The Rams placed running back Blake Corum on season-ending injured reserve and promoted former Duck Royce Freeman from their practice squad. Over in the association, an NBA doubleheader tonight on TNT. First up, Lakers at the Mavericks. That's a 4:30 tip. Dallas are 6.5-point home dogs. Then at 7 o'clock, the Nuggets are 5.5-point home underdogs hosting the defending champion Boston Celtics. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Jeff Rust at the Fan Sports Desk. Listen live or on demand on the Odyssey app, the Fan's desktop player, or tell your smart speaker to play 1080 The Fan.
It's The Fan on FM. Go to 99.5 FM HD2 and enjoy high def 1080 The Fan.
McCoy at WarrenAllen.com.
On 1080 The Fan. It's time for today's worst day on the web. With Danny and Dusty on Odyssey and 1080 The Fan.
Well, that sucks.
Going into the break, I said the dictator, Kim Jong-un, is the most un-American human being on the planet.
That's
and
right.
He's done the most un-American thing. It is not unusual for something like this to happen. I don't think Americans, for the most part, are truly aware of how much of a hermit nation North Korea really is. They do not have internet to the outside world. They do not have outside media. They do not in that country. It is isolated, entirely isolated. The only people who get access to the outside world are Kim and his acolytes. You know what's really funny is Steam is the gaming service that provides computer games, and it shows a map based on IP address of like where people are playing games. And then in Pyongyang, capital of North Korea, there's a little tiny light that lights up because somebody in North Korea, probably Kim Jong-un, is playing video games.
Really?
On an actual internet server. Yeah. It's very funny. It's like it was one of those things like, I see you.
Interesting.
But with all of that said, they keep Western culture out, and it becomes so forbidden that it becomes criminal. And that is the case that has happened here, as they have now banned the most American of things, the hot dog.
I said that going to break, and I was just guessing, and I can't believe I am right.
Yeah.
That is, whoa, Nelly.
The hot dog has grown in popularity in South Korea.
I mean, is it
because
is it the worst thing in the world that they banned hot dogs though?
I mean, well, to be fair, it's probably the more nutritious thing that they're eating there.
Yeah,
they have, famine and hunger, and it's not great there.
Well, they're all made of lips and a-holes.
Yeah, it's
the
rest
dogs,
of the meat.
Not the people.
Do you think that maybe Kim Jong-un read The Jungle and was like, whoa, no way.
He probably read it in 5 minutes in one sitting.
That's right. Well,
he does have, he did get a perfect score on a golf course.
No, that was his dad. That was his dad. That was Kim Jong-il.
You're right. 18 holes in one.
Yeah.
He mastered golf.
Well,
he also doesn't
seems
poop.
Pretty good. That is a heck of a thing and very unhealthy.
Yeah, well, I mean, explain the haircut.
I feel like he would die.
I mean, yeah.
I think science would tell me he would die. But
that face is pretty puffy.
Like glorious leader.
Well, yeah.
Holding
a lot of weight.
The hot dog has grown in popularity in South Korea, probably because we have 1 million soldiers in South Korea.
I take it they don't have Costco's in North Korea?
Not in North Korea.
What are they going to do? You can't replace the hot dog meal.
I mean, they could do like a kimchi.
They can get a hot dog
meal.
and a soda for $1.50.
Yeah. Come on.
Everybody wants that deal.
Because there are Costco's in South Korea, ladies and gentlemen.
That's what I'm talking about.
There are Costco's all over South Korea.
But just not in North Korea.
God. There is a lot of Costco's in South Korea.
Yeah, you see the TikTok of the dude, the Cuban,
crap.
A Cuban defectee. He went to a Costco for the first time.
Just blown away.
He was just like, what? And his whole thing, he's holding up these 2 racks of like ribs and was like, so I could work out with these things. He's like, there's so much meat. And it just kind of put it into perspective of like, yeah, it's rough out over in Cuba. Like going to the excess of Costco would be quite the mind rip.
Yeah, that Cuban, he just dove right into that Costco like Tony Montana into that pile of cocaine on the desk.
Very, 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 very.
Kind of did.
Yeah.
Also, we're gonna need him.
He's blown
talking
away by
about
that.
how he could work out with all of his meat.
Yeah, I'll go back and find this. Here.
Yep.
I need that. Also, I'm just shocked by how many Costco's there are in South Korea. I guess it shouldn't really surprise me because they are on the islands in Hawaii too.
Yeah, I mean it's Costco. Man.
Yeah, I guess.
Who doesn't love a good Costco?
The
people of South Korea need a Costco.
But this is crazy. Like they are everywhere, and I would imagine and it's actually they're relatively close to the border, which is actually.
I don't think you're gonna be sneaking across your 48 pack of toilet paper back to North Korea.
They use the rice paper. Come on now. But it's not just that they're like banning them. So anything that has ties to the Western world or anything that's deemed offensive or treasonous.
Ooh, 274 Costco's outside of the United States.
It's quite a bit.
109 in Canada, 41 in Mexico, 36 in Japan, 29 in UK, 19 in South Korea.
That's a big number.
19.
Like when you think about how big South Korea really is, that's a lot.
Yeah.
Also, nothing is more fun than watching somebody from Europe go to Costco the first time
because they don't. 29 in the UK. They can go.
They don't understand buying in bulk like that.
2
like
in France.
It like blows their mind because they go to the market every day.
Yeah.
It's what I mean. It's a very different thing. You go to the store, you buy your stuff for dinner that night, and you do it every day as opposed to bulk.
Yeah, there you go.
It's a very strange thing. But the deal here is that the crackdown is quite literally deemed treasonous.
To eat a hot dog.
Yeah, to cook, have anything that has to do with a hot dog. And I'm not joking when I say this. If you get arrested or you are found guilty, air quotes here, because it's very loosely. I mean, remember, this is a guy who killed his uncle with a surface-to-air machine gun.
I mean...
So, a flak cannon, essentially. Shredded him, and what was left, he fed to his dogs. This was his uncle.
I mean, a leader of a country.
Apparently that's a fun uncle.
Leader of a country, that's excessive. Don't expect it from that. I mean, if that story that you just said, you're like South Alabama man, you'd be like, oh, okay, yeah, all right, I could see that happening. I mean, it's a little out there for a leader of a country.
When we go to the break, I'll show you the exact gun that he used.
I'm good.
It's a lot bigger than you think.
I'm good. All right, so if you were caught eating a hot dog.
So you can be put to death or be sent to a work camp. And when I say work camp,
those are awful.
It's like the stuff you see in China with the Uyghurs. Like, it's bad. All of this. So all I'm saying is cherish your hot dogs, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, I have a defense.
Mm-hmm.
I have a defense. Be like, this isn't a hot dog. And they'll be like, well, what is it? I don't know what's inside of here. Nobody knows what's inside of hot dogs.
Well,
so this could not be a hot dog. I don't know what it could
sausages.
Yeah, it's a sausage.
Anything,
yeah, they're going with sausages.
Any meat in a casing? Nobody knows what's in a hot dog.
No.
Not even Americans know what's in a hot dog.
Again, back to the great outdoors.
To highlight the increasing insanity of North Korea, people that get divorced in North Korea are facing 1 to 6 months in labor camps for their crimes.
Yeah, and unfortunately, majority of those people die.
It's considered an anti-socialist act.
To eat a hot dog?
To get divorced.
Oh, to get divorced. Yeah, all right.
And the government needs to sign off on it. On your divorce.
Well, divorce rates are down.
It's the one thing North Korea has going for it. But I bet you sham marriages are also way down.
Yeah. Yeah.
See? They're getting it right.
I don't know how many sham marriages are going on there. Like, I really want to stay here. Yeah. I need to get married.
There goes my green card in North Korea.
Hey, look, they have limited access. Everybody's trying to get there.
Yeah, it includes brats, guys. So just keep that in mind the next time you book your spring break vacation to North Korea.
I can't have my cheddar-filled Johnsonville brats.
Don't bring those.
I like the jalapeno cheese ones.
You want to keep out of your luggage your guns, knives, fireworks,
and brats.
Don't
put those. Don't put those in those dry ice.
You're trying to tell me I can't make it through TSA with my wieners?
Yeah, you know what to do with that.
Please talk to me about my wiener. God, what movie was that?
That was Accepted.
Yeah, that's right. God, that was great.
I think
Jonah Hill, Justin Long.
I think one of these hot dog companies stateside needs to.
Oh, this is a psyop.
It needs to go with your next marketing campaign.
Instead of dropping leaflets, drop hot dogs.
Be anti-Korean, North Korean. Eat Johnsonville brats.
I did read a few days ago that they are looking for new drivers for the Oscar Mayer Wienermobile. So maybe they should take that over to North Korea.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, definitely not a minefield waiting for him.
Mm-mm. Don't do that.
Yikes, dog. All right, that's our worst day on the web. So,
add that to the list of reasons why I never want to go to North Korea. To not eat a hot dog.
There you go.
Because I don't eat hot dogs. Outside of a baseball game, which I'm assuming they don't have very many baseball games in North Korea. Or 4th of July.
Korean League, right? Or is that just all
South Korea?
Okay, yeah.
It's not North Korea.
All
they
right.
don't interact.
No.
In 4th of July, which I'm assuming they don't celebrate there either.
No, probably not.
Why would they not celebrate our Independence Day? That's so weird.
Happens.
I don't see myself in a situation to eat a hot dog.
It's rough, man.
Yeah, or at a Costco, which they don't have one in North Korea either. I mean, those are the 3 times I'll eat a hot dog.
This is the way that we ultimately end the war in Korea, via the hot dog. All right, coming up next, Dusty and I are both unclear on how this exactly works. Maybe one of you listeners know exactly how this works. Tiger and Rory's Golf League is debuting.
Hell yeah.
And it looks cool, but I have no idea what's going on, how it works, and what is going on. So we'll dive into that next year on Danny and Dusty, Danny the Fan.
There's so much meat.
As we were prepping for today's show, they were showing the Golf League, the Tiger and Rory Indoor Golf League?
Yeah, it's the Golf Simulator League that I think they're at the SoFi Center down in Florida for this.
Fort Myers, I believe, yeah.
Fort Myers is where they do it.
Where they all live.
Yeah. It's the new golf league where they're going to go team golf, 3-man teams, and I'm intrigued by this. This was the answer for extra revenue. Remember when LIV started up and the PGA was like, oh my gosh, how are we going to hold this thing together? And Tiger and Rory were like, we got this. We got a league. It actually looks awesome.
It's the most insane simulator you've ever seen.
Yeah, it's like, have you seen the games that where like you can go to viewing experiences now? Like these bars have like the 360 screen all around you, so it feels like you're in the game, like sitting in the front row. Those look awesome. They also look like if you have one too many beers, you may just throw up immediately.
We did that at a movie recently at Bridgeport. It wasn't a 360, but it was like 270.
Yeah, it's like almost completely immersive. Like,
is it the shaking shares?
No, it's a game. No, this is like you're at a bar watching a game, but the screen goes all around you. But it's almost like that with how big the room is that they're doing this in. It's like it's almost as if like you're in a sound stage at a big movie is being filmed there, and this screen goes up. It looks like, I don't know, like 50 feet, and it is massive. So like when you hit a ball at this screen, like it looks like a true ball flight goes down. And they brought in they're not hitting off a turf. They're hitting off of these grass pallets that they brought in. And so it's like you're hitting off a real golf course. And then after like you hit your shot, your drive, then you're shot off of the grass mat. And then you get to the green, and the greens undulate like a whatever green on whatever course you're playing at. It was crazy to see how this thing is set up.
Well, and I'm not sure that they have too many setups with holes from actual courses. There are ones that have been created specifically like for this event and for this league.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, they're like, I'm on their website right now, and they're their own separate thing. Like one of them like looks like it's the top of Machu Picchu.
Yeah. Pretty sweet.
It's like they call it Temple. It's a par 4 502. It says Temple is a whole design inspired by ancient civilizations and based on simplicity to create a unique challenge with its hourglass shape. There's also another one here. It's a par 5 720-yard hole.
Yes.
That's big.
It's a par 5 with multiple tee boxes. Quick draw might be the ultimate risk-reward hole in TGL presented by SoFi. And there's like, you can see some inspiration for a lot of these holes. Like this one called Blue Bonnet says, depending on the tee box of this Nicklaus design, Blue Bonnet either plays as a drivable par 4 or a challenging long par 4.
Interesting. Is it not an actual golf course? Because isn't there a Blue Bonnet golf course?
I think there's an inspiration off of it.
Okay.
Like this one I hear is called On the Rocks. It's a downhill par 3 with an island green that sits off the edge of a cliff in the North Sea of Scotland.
Sweet.
Like it's like the hole at the Players.
Yeah, the floating green.
The floating green, but in the ocean.
It says there are 3 different golf course design companies created 30 original holes that will be played on a competition area. 97 yards by 50, roughly the size of a football field. So they are original, like fictitious holes.
One of them has lava.
Sweet. Now that would be real.
Set on an active volcano, Flex is named for its resemblance to someone flexing their muscles.
Play it as it lies, Tiger.
Coward.
And also the simulator screen, 64 feet by 53 feet, which is 24 times larger than a standard golf simulator.
Yeah, I mean, this thing is massive.
It's huge, and they're going to have fans there. Hopefully, the environment is raucous, and they got 6 teams, and they have like they all have their logos, and they're attached to a city or whatever. But like Justin Thomas is Patrick Cantley, Billy Horschel, Lucas Glover on the Atlanta team. Boston is Rory McIlroy, Hideki Matsuyama, Keegan Bradley, and Adam Scott. Jupiter Links Golf Club is Tiger, Max Homa, Tom Kim, and Kevin Kisner. The Los Angeles Golf Club is Colin Morikawa, Thigala, Justin Rose, and Tommy Fleetwood. New York Golf Club is Matt Fitzpatrick, Ricky Fowler, Xander Schauffele, Cameron Young. And then the Bay Golf Club is Ludwig Auberg, Wyndham Clark, Minwoo Lee, and Shane Lowry. And L.A. and New York, or the Bay Area and New York play each other tonight. Why would you start this league without Tiger and Rory?
That was my first thought, yeah.
Why not?
Yeah, well, nothing's going on tonight.
Yeah, and that's why they're starting this thing. Why not start with those two guys kind of playing each other, or their teams? But
maybe work out the kinks first with them not there.
I guess
that's the only thing I can think of.
Yeah.
Well, they've already pushed this thing back a year though too. It was supposed to start at this time last year, but the facility got damaged by storms.
Yeah, at least
like the roof collapsed.
Shane Lowry and
well, you get some Wyndham
Ricky
Clark
Fowler.
in there.
Ricky Fowler. Those are two personalities at least, right? Yeah, Wyndham Clark, former Duck, is playing tonight. But is this gonna help golf? Like, what will it take for it to help golf?
I think I agree with Danny. Is it doesn't hurt it,
right? But if you can make it spectator friendly, and it's pretty awesome. Like you're like, well, how do you get the ball on the green? There's a beam. Like Beam Me Up Scotty, and it comes down and it shows you where your ball landed on the green on the simulator.
And that's where you go place it.
And you have to go up and you got to play. If you hit it in a bunker, you have to go up and you have to place it in the bunker where this little beam of light comes down, looking like the aliens are going to come up and take you up to the mothership and probe you.
Yeah.
But then all the greens I apparently are pretty true. I think the biggest thing is they need to engage with the crowd, and the crowd needs to be amped up for this thing. If that happens, you can make golf exciting to watch. Then people are gonna get into it. If you treat it like, hey, you guys watch the darts, like the European darts?
Oh
on
yeah,
TV?
It is on the electric.
It's usually when the Ocho pops up in the summer. But yeah,
give me Max Homa, ripping a dart, drinking a beer, and playing on this simulator. Like, show me that they are real people. Like, they don't have to be getting hammered or whatever.
I mean, adding John Daly to this would be good.
Well, show me that they're real people, because you'd never, like, that's the biggest problem with golf is that we never get to see any of their personalities, right? Or their legs, because they wear pants. And it's like 100 degrees and 98% humidity. It's ridiculous.
Well, one of the things they talked about in anticipation of this event is they are actively hoping for trash talk and S talking.
Good.
Throughout the entire thing.
Yes. Sign me up.
So yeah, absolutely. Let's do it.
Yeah.
And if we're gonna actively push for that, hopefully they don't, have that dump button too ready, like they let Pat McAfee curse in the mornings. Let these golfers curse in the evenings and you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well,
I want to hear Tiger drop an F-bomb.
If there's one place, well, you can't say that one, but you can say most of the other ones.
The S's. How about that?
If there's one place where swear words to happen, it's a golf course.
Yeah, also you can say the F1 on cable.
Really?
Yeah.
They always bleep it out even on the ESPN.
Yeah, that's a network decision as opposed to, because the only reason I know this is because a former co-host did it on cable.
Oh.
I think because, yes, if you're paying for cable, you are automatically opting into paying for a service and be like, hey, you know what? I might have to experience some things that might be a touch blue.
It's not over the air.
Exactly.
Yeah. Because when it happened to us, I about bleeped my pants. I was like, oh God, we're getting fired. So coming up next, speaking of getting fired, what a transition. We got to pivot back to the NFL because there is so much more dysfunction that we haven't even come remotely close to touching. Just kind of diving into where the NFL is right now in not just coaching searches, but the dysfunction of general manager ownership relations around the NFL and how it kind of ties to the success or lack there of success in the NFL as a whole. Here in hour number 3 on Danny and Dusty, Tenny the Fan.
Now, from the Fan Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
Jeff Rust with your Sports Center update. First on the Fan, former Florida State and Alabama wide receiver Malik Benson has committed to play for Oregon next season, thanks to the recent NCAA ruling on junior college players. And also, wide receiver Evan Stewart announced he'll return for another season in Eugene rather than declare for the NFL draft. Speaking of the NFL, Black Monday has overflowed into Tuesday. This morning, the Titans fired GM Ran Carthon, but said Brian Callahan will stay on as head coach. The Titans hold the number 1 overall pick in the 2025 draft. And now ESPN's Adam Schefter reporting the Raiders have fired head coach Antonio Pierce. After being carted off the field Sunday against the Vikings, Lions cornerback Terrion Arnold now considered day-to-day with a foot contusion. The Rams have placed running back Blake Corum on season-ending injured reserve and promoted former Duck Royce Freeman from their practice squad. The Chargers signing running back Ezekiel Elliott to their practice squad today after averaging only 3.1 yards per carry on 74 carries in 15 games this season. Elliott was waived by the Cowboys earlier this month. And in the association, a doubleheader tonight on TNT. First up, Lakers at the Mavericks. It's a 4:30 tip. Dallas are 6.5-point home dogs. Then at 7 o'clock, the Nuggets, 5.5-point home dogs, hosting the defending champion Celtics. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Jeff Rust at the Fan Sports Desk. Listen live or on demand on the Odyssey app, the Fan's desktop player, or tell your smart speaker to play 1080 The Fan.
Got a smart speaker? It's The Fan in your office and every room of your home. Tell your smart speaker to play 1080 The Fan. The wings are extra spicy this week.
It's getting hotter. It's increasing.
This is Danny and Dusty on Wild Card Week.
Injured? Don't trust just anyone to something so personal. Call George McCoy at Warren Allen. Online at warrenallen.com.
Danny and Dusty on 1080.
My body's like, this is poison.
The Fan.
I think my leg just cramped.
Hour number 3 here on Tuesday on Danny and Dusty. Whether you're listening on 1080 AM, watching along on youtube.com/1080 AM The Fan, or twitch.tv/1080 AM The Fan, we appreciate you. We love you. Thank you for hanging out with us on this wonderful, wonderful, and as Dusty would call it, a warm Tuesday in January.
It is. It's a warm January Tuesday. I've seen that the weather people think that it's going to start getting cold in like 2 weeks.
Ruh-roh.
Yeah.
I don't like that.
Yeah, was it Rod Hill? Rod Hill, KGW there.
There you
go. He said cold weather tracking. It's a pattern that could change around January 20th. Later stretches into February. Dude, we barely know if it's going to rain tomorrow.
Yeah, let's say January 20th. That's like 2 weeks, man.
Don't worry about that, dude. It's the cold airs. It's the jet streams and the flows and the pressure systems.
Is
the
it?
barometer
Are we heading towards El Niños yet?
I think. Is it a La Nina?
Yeah. I don't know, but all I know is that's Spanish for La Nina.
There you go.
That's right.
Babe.
R.I.P.
It is a wild card weekend here on the Fan.
Sure is.
And in the
Bob.
NFL. Let's talk about the teams that are not in the wild card because of how stupid and dysfunctional they are. Should we do that?
Damn.
Because this is one of the more, it's not shocking, but it is shocking. The Jaguars can't seem to get out of their own way in a way that doesn't really make sense, because I get it. It's Florida, man. It's weird. But they have what should be a franchise quarterback.
Yeah.
They've drafted relatively well at the top of the draft.
Yeah.
Their dysfunction seems to lie in basically every pick after that and missing horribly. But for some reason, Shad Khan is both a good owner in the sense of being out front and addressing things, I think, head on in a way that some owners probably wouldn't.
Yeah.
But also this, and pushing the game forward, pushing it into Europe, basically being England's team. I think the Jacksonville Jaguars have done some things. They were a franchise that, caught fire right out of the gate with the same as the Panthers.
Well, I mean, they also caught fire with the uniforms that he instituted right when he took ownership of the team, which were the worst helmets I've ever seen in my life.
Very true.
They had mullet helmets.
First year, we took it to the limit.
They had good-looking uniforms, then they gave them gold mullet helmets, and then mustard yellow color rush uniforms.
Yeah, those ones were bad.
Yeah, dang.
Yeah.
Again, I'm not saying he's a great owner. Something about him, I just go, I feel like you should be better at this. Your team should be better.
Yeah, and that's where all of the decisions come down to letting football people make football decisions. And he has made some splashy hires, whether that is Urban Meyer or it is Doug Peterson, getting a guy who won a Super Bowl and come in to try and change your culture. Like, those are moves that you sit there and you're like, well, at least he's trying something different.
And you saw immediate dividends from Urban to
and he's
Peterson.
Trying to invest in the organization in there's a care there.
Yeah.
And so I agree with you that, there are a lot of the signals that be like, I get it. He should be better at this. But there's also signals that, dude, you run a dumpster fire, and one of them is firing Doug Peterson but keeping Trent Baalke.
Yeah. Who is now going to make his 6th coaching hire?
Yes.
Yeah.
Only one of the previous 5 has a winning record, and that was Jim Harbaugh, his first hire.
Which he ran out of town because he couldn't get along with Jim Harbaugh, which don't really blame Trent Baalke for that.
But also, you find a way to get along with Jim Harbaugh when he is one of the best coaches ever to coach the game.
And his next hires were Jim Tomsula, Chip Kelly, Urban Meyer, and Doug Peterson.
Doug Peterson is the only one on there that's not.
And Glorious, too.
Yeah.
Doug Peterson. By the way, also, I remember this from my updates yesterday. Yeah, right? Wake up. It's a happy day. I remember from my updates yesterday, Doug Peterson at 22 and 29 in Jacksonville, the 3rd highest winning percentage in franchise history.
Yikes, dog. Okay, can I guess behind whom?
Sure.
Tom Coughlin. And oh boy, who is the guy they fired before Doug Peterson? Blake Bortles' coach. He was a Syracuse guy.
Well, no, that was Urban Meyer, wasn't it?
Before Urban. What was that guy's name?
Oh God.
He eats bologna sandwiches.
Right, yeah, no, it's not him.
Oh, it's not?
No.
Oh, well, damn. Mike Munchak. No, he was in.
Danny might know who this is. He's a USC-man.
Oh God.
Jack Del Rio. Gosh.
No. Yes, yeah. Jack Del Rio.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say the coach before him wasn't Del Rio. But
I'm just saying, but Jack Del Rio is number 2 on the list.
Doug Marrone is the guy.
There we go. Thank you.
Yeah, I would not have gotten that. God,
he took him to the playoffs.
God, Mike Mularkey.
Do you know what I Googled to find that out? It wasn't list of Jaguars head coaches. It was Jaguars coach bologna sandwich.
I mean,
and guess what? Doug Marrone popped right up.
But did you spell baloney correct at least?
Yeah.
Did you do the Americanized version or the Italian?
Bologna.
All right.
Bologna.
Well, good for you. Thank you. Yeah. I appreciate that.
It happens.
Yeah.
As an Italian man.
The insane thing about this, is Shad Khan was on a Zoom and says he would fire the GM if a new head coach could convince him, and we have that audio.
I'd actually like to go back to John's first question, Shad, back to you. I know you noted that if this head coaching candidate was to say, hey, I think the medical needs to be reevaluated, the health and wellness, if they were to say, I would like to reevaluate the front office and the general manager, what would your response be?
My response would be, how would you improve it? And then if it is credible, you want to do it, okay?
Okay, that sounds like the right answer, but the problem is Trent Baalke, the guy who he's talking about, is on the Zoom with him.
Trent Baalke, it was a side-by-side of Shad Khan and Trent Baalke, and the questions asked, and Baalke looks very confident. And then Khan starts answering, and you see, Baalke starts looking out of the corner of his eye like, oh, boy, this is awkward. And so the owner of the team is like, well, yeah, I mean, if the new head coach can convince me that it's a good idea to fire Trent, yeah, I'll go ahead and do it. Why not? Let's mix this thing up a little bit. And that right there might be exactly why the Jacksonville Jaguars are dysfunctional. And that right there is the answer to Shad Khan feels like he should be doing a better job, but then he answers a reporter's question probably with a little bit too much truth in that Yeah, a new head coach can convince me to fire the GM. But you know what? I appreciate that response more than what George McCaskey said when asked about like the GM and coach needing to be aligned during the interview. And he's like, no, that's not a key factor. That is 100% a key factor. And what Shad Khan is saying is that, look, if we hire a new head coach and he comes in and is like, dude, I have A, B, and C, X, Y, and Z as to why me and Trent Baalke aren't jiving and this isn't going to work, then Shad Khan is like, well, then at least he's acknowledging that alignment is going to be important and maybe we should go in a different direction at GM.
Well, so do we think then that Trent Baalke is going to actually go and hire a guy like that?
No.
So.
No. First question. Will you go to the owner and try to get me fired at any point? No? All right, we can continue. Second question.
Should I be threatened by you by any way, shape, matter, or form?
Let's go ahead and schedule interview number 2.
Because I already am threatened by you.
And that itself might be a problem. Like just that little seed that Shad Khan just planted. It's like, oh, I have to go for our young coach now. Like you can't go with any coach with any kind of power.
At this point, I wouldn't be surprised if Trent Baalke actually is fired. Like by the end of the sentence.
Well, and then he can go and take over the job at the New York Jets, where they also have horrifically low. Well, I guess I can't say they have low expectations because they have high expectations.
Low standards.
Terrible.
Low standards, high expectations.
Low standards. There we go.
Yeah.
It's like it's like going to the truck stop for literally anything other than gas.
Sushi.
Jerky.
Well, I won't go that far. There's some great.
That actually might be the place you get the best jerky.
I think that's the place you get the good stuff.
Go get myself like a 96-ounce fountain soda.
Ooh, that's what I'm talking about.
Right?
That's what I'm talking about. Not an egg salad sandwich.
No.
Why not?
Buddy.
Nor any kind of lizard.
Buddy.
Why would I go there for lizard?
A lot lizard is what he's talking about.
It's just like the buckle bunnies at rodeos.
Yeah, except for way worse.
No, different.
Well, just go ahead and Google that term, and we'll get back to you on that one. You can get back to us with the full book report coming up in about 40 minutes.
I guess, again, those standards are a bit lower.
That's what I was saying. Low standards, high expectations. Not going to go well for you. I do want to keep this conversation going.
Baalke's going to hire Ted Lasso now. That's a great text. He's going to hire a soccer coach that comes in to coach football.
Fire me now. Does that mean Hannah Waddington's coming here? Because I could be turned into a Jags fan real quick.
You and Rust both.
Yeah.
Just saying. I'll take it to the limit.
He's just got to go tell old Woody Johnson to have a memory of a goldfish.
Nope, Shad Khan.
Shad Khan.
Team.
Wrong team.
Damn it.
Woody Johnson probably does have the memory of a goldfish.
Yeah.
To be fair.
Just keep swimming.
Lots of pharmaceuticals and such.
I do want to keep this dysfunction junction talk going because what is going on in Tennessee? Again, we talked about the Houston Texans and how they just kind of keep getting wild card weekend and shoved into the corner. The Tennessee Titans are lucky they exist in the Smoky Mountains. Otherwise, everybody would be pointing and laughing a lot more at the absolute dysfunction that is going on in Tennessee. We'll get to that next year on Danny and Dusty, 1080 The Fan. Something that's really stood out in this Black Monday process through dysfunction as you get more firings, more dismissals, and more news notes and slander that comes out after firing. Because every time you fire somebody, you always have to dump the trail of awfulness behind them. To be like, this is why we fired them. So not to be outdone in dysfunction, the Tennessee Titans, which I don't know if necessarily were the gold standard, but they were, I feel like, a high standard organization for a very long time. Whether it was the Steve McNair, Eddie George era, moving into the Derrick Henry period, like they just felt like they always had goodwill and equity, even if they did steal a team out of Houston.
Well, they did. They were very consistent,
yes,
right? And
consistently good.
So many years there was consistency, and there were a couple downturns, but mostly
they bounced back.
Yeah, they always were right there in the thick of it. And look, if we're being completely honest, a lot of the years of their consistency was because their division's god awful.
Yes, it's trash.
God awful. But if you look at it from 2016 to 2021, they were 9-7 for 4 of those years, and then 11-5, 12-5. That's pretty damn good, right? They've had a couple stinkers years in there with like Mike Mularkey and Ken Wisenhunt as head coach.
God, that's Mularkey named twice in the past 5 minutes.
Yep. But from like 99 through 2008, that they were like a beacon of consistency with like 1 year where I think Steve McNair got hurt, and like 2004-ish, he got hurt. They went down, and I think they were 4-12. Yeah, 4-12. Other than that, they've just like been meh to okay. Never Super Bowl contenders though.
Kind of Steelers-esque. In recent
but
years.
Without any championships to hang their hat on. And you mentioned stealing a team out of Houston. It pisses me off to no end that they wear those Oilers uniforms against the Houston Texans.
They should not be allowed to do that.
No, they shouldn't be allowed to wear those uniforms at all. In fact, they should be forced to give up all Houston Oilers records,
everything,
anything, colors, logos, all of it
with the Sonics.
Yeah, it was an affront to Haywood Jeffries and Lorenzo White.
You have in Warren Moon and Billy White
Earl
Shoes.
Campbell.
What? Yeah, Earl Campbell. Yes. It is.
I was just going back to my Tecmo Bowl days where I used the Oilers like crazy.
But in old Bud Adams, he's the owner, and he took them from Houston to Tennessee. And now his daughter, Amy Adams Strunk, is in control. And look, this is like the big issue with, the NFL and ownership that gets handed down from one generation to the next. You see a massive drop-off. Where we really haven't seen it is with the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Bears see it, right?
Yes. The reason I think you haven't seen it with the Steelers, despite it going down through the family, is that it's treated with a level of respect.
Yeah.
Throughout the family, where you've had infighting with the 49ers, you had infighting in the Giants, you've had infighting.
The Kansas City Chiefs, they are the beacon of dominance and stability right now, but they went through it too. I mean, you're seeing it with the Raiders.
Yeah. Oh God, yes.
Every time that you see the team gets handed down, until they get out of the way and let football people make football decisions, it usually goes a little bit sideways.
And as it pertains to the Titans, this is not, a new thing. Do you remember Diana Rossini getting laughed at for the Mike Vrabel comments about how Mike Vrabel was intimidating in the room? Doesn't look so funny now, does it? You aren't laughing at her anymore, because there was a power struggle, and there was an intimidation factor that led to him being dismissed. And there was a power struggle in that front office and coaching office between Vrabel and between the GM, who has now been fired.
Yep.
And the insane thing about this is that the GM that was brought in, Carthon, thank you, was brought in specifically to work with their head coach, Mike Vrabel.
Yep.
And when it didn't work, they fired Vrabel.
Yep. And this is where it just seems like he was there for a year. They fire Vrabel, and then they promoted Carthon to a bigger role, not just GM with full roster control. They gave him an executive vice president label as well. And so he got a promotion that only lasted 1 year. The entire reason why they brought him in is to work with Vrabel. Then why fire Mike Vrabel, right? This is where their team, the CEO, Burke Nihil, absolutely an utter disaster as the team president, because you're looking at it going, you have a really good head coach who is winning football games for you. You are churning out consistently. Are you dominant? Nope. But you know what? You were doing it without a great quarterback.
Yeah.
Right? And you were in the mix, in the hunt for playoff spots, getting to the playoffs. And then you say, because he's too mean, it's football, you're going to fire him. And you're going to keep the guy that you brought in to work alongside of him. Then you're going to promote him and then say, now, nope, we're going to fire him too. This is why that alignment conversation that George McCaskey was asked about, do you need to have alignment between your GM and your head coach? Is that a key factor? Yes, it is. It absolutely is. But it also goes up to the general manager and the team president also have to be aligned too. And if you don't have that, you are screwed, because what you're seeing in Chicago as well is that Kevin Warren, former Big Ten commissioner, is now the president of the Chicago Bears. Apparently he and Ryan Poles are good, but they want to hire somebody who is not maybe the best football decision, but a guy who gets along with them, right? And is like a yes man for them. You can't have that. They have to be aligned, but you also have got to have an element of friction. Like that actually makes franchises
That's how you
really
check
good.
things.
Yep.
That's what keeps you from making the decision around Daniel Jones and Saquon Barkley.
But you can't have hurt feelings.
No.
Like,
and that's what happened with the 49ers with both Harbaugh, but it also happened in the earlier York era. And remember the front office churn that they had there when they just went through the dysfunction with Singletary as a head coach. I mean, it was just, you just went through issue after issue after issue.
Yes men are an issue. Ability to not be able to handle constructive criticism, it's also a massive issue. And it's where it's not just a football thing or a sports thing. It's every business, right? Is every successful business, you got to have somebody who can tell you, you know what, this is wrong. You know, you have to have the one person that will tell you to F off. That's a really important factor.
Yeah, it matters.
You know, ass kissers may climb their way to the top, but your business will backslide if that's all you have climbing that ladder. And you don't want a bunch of people that are colossal a-holes, but you can't have it the other way where it's just a bunch of yes men.
You have to have that pushback. And that's, you know, that's the thing that it's interesting now that Vrabel was like this toxic coach that nobody wanted last year. And now he's number 1 or number 2 for 4 or 5 teams.
Yeah, because he's a really damn good coach.
What's changed?
Nothing. I think last year was he wanted just to get a lay of the land, and he kind of took his name out of a lot of jobs because he was also popped up late. And so I think he wanted that little bit of gap year so he could really kind of assess and see where the best spot is. Dude, he's gonna have his pick. Yep. And he should have his pick of at least 3 of them.
Or he knew Gerard Mayo wasn't going to last. And he just like, I'll go coach up there.
Poor guy.
Stuff
out there.
It is what it is. It happens.
Here's the thing. In all of these situations, hire the best person for the job, right? Like, that's going to be what is going to make your team the most successful. It's like everybody is looking like, I worry that like the Patriots are going to fall into like the Michigan trap of, we got to find a Michigan man, right? But Michigan man is going to lead us. And that's going to probably get even worse for Michigan since Jim Harbaugh's won a national title. USC with their athletic directors. Got to be a USC guy. How'd that go?
Yeah.
Not well. You know, I worry that like with the Patriots, they're going to be like, we got to find a Patriots guy. No.
The Patriot way.
You know who went outside and they found the right guy? The Pittsburgh friggin' Steelers. They went and they got a young defensive coordinator from the Minnesota Vikings named Mike Tomlin, and he has been outstanding because he was the right person for that job and he fit with what
was
they
Bill
were
Belichick
doing.
the successful coach when he went and got hired by the Patriots?
No, he wasn't a yes man either though. Like he was
That's my point.
outside of the box with Mike Tomlin.
So it's always interesting to kind of see how that goes. So in case you're wondering if your organization is the most dysfunctional, probably.
Yep.
Because unless and it's funny as even Chiefs fan, you have the cheapest owner in the sport.
Yeah.
Like that's a thing that your players feel about your owner.
That is true.
Like so, there's levels of dysfunction across the board.
But guys still keep going there.
Oh, because
they know they're going to win.
Here's a good one on the Vancouver Forward text line. Look at the Chargers. The Spanos family kept hiring those yes men. Now with Harbaugh, who is not a yes man, the Chargers culture has shifted and it's 5,000,000% better. Yep. The Spanos family has gotten out of the way as much as they possibly can. But yeah, they went out and they got a guy who he's going to ruffle some feathers, but you know what? He's going to tell you what the right way to do it is.
All of a sudden, you start looking better.
Yeah.
Weird.
And they're overachieving as opposed to underachieving.
Hey,
whoa.
Coming up next, could the Pac-12 overachieve and bring in a national champion? We'll get to that more. First is Big Kahuna Sports and Update.
You ever had a Big Kahuna burger?
This is Fan.
This update brought to you by 808 Hawaiian Restaurant. Mixed plates like Grandma used to make. If your grandma were from the Big Island, Woodstock, Burnside, Beaverton, or online at ate-oh-ate.com. First on the Fan, former Florida State and Alabama receiver Malik Benson has committed to play for Oregon next season. That's thanks to the recent NCAA ruling on junior college athletes. And also, wide receiver Evan Stewart announced he will return for another season in Eugene rather than declare for the draft. Boise State running back and Heisman Trophy finalist Ashton Jeanty announced he is declaring for the NFL draft. And then speaking of the NFL, the Chargers signing running back Ezekiel Elliott to their practice squad today. He averaged 3.1 yards per carry on just 74 carries in 15 games this season with the Cowboys before being waived earlier this month after being carted off the field Sunday against the Vikings. Lions cornerback Terrion Arnold now considered day-to-day with a foot contusion, and the Rams have placed running back Blake Corum on season-ending injured reserve and promoted former Duck Royce Freeman from their practice squad. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Jeff Rust at the Fan Sports Desk. Listen live or on demand on the Odyssey app, the Fan's desktop player, or tell your smart speaker to play 1080 The Fan.
One number does it all for contests and texting your favorite fan shows. The Vancouver Ford text line is 503-864-6FAN.
Isaac and Suk here with Ken and Donnie, the
North Dakota State, champs yet again.
10th time in 14 years.
Is that good?
That's pretty good. It's pretty good. That's pretty good.
Is that a run of dominance matched by anyone else ever?
Bill Russell.
Not even.
I mean, when you talk about 10 national titles in 14 years.
And didn't they make the Final Four in those other 4 years?
I know that their record since 2011 is 186-21.
Good God.
Didn't Bill Russell do like 11-13? He as both a player and player coach, what have you?
Yeah, I think so. Something like that.
I thought he had 10-15. I could be wrong.
I don't know. It was close, but yeah, well, so yeah, North Dakota State is close to Bill Russell.
Yeah, either way, both ridiculous.
And really, if you look at it, the 4 titles that they did not win, 2 of them were won by South Dakota State.
Them Jackrabbits.
Dakotas, who knew? Huh? And they're the tough ones. They
you
play
go
outdoors.
inside and you play football. That's all you do. Some long winners up there, man.
South Dakota State plays outdoors.
Are you S-ing me?
No. They play outdoors. Yeah. They're pretty good.
That gets pretty cold.
So their 7-3 season was in the COVID year.
Bums.
But they lost in the FCS quarterfinal. So, yeah, since 2010, where they lost in the FCS quarterfinal, championship, semifinal, championship, championship, quarterfinal, championship, semifinal, championship. So, yes, the years they haven't won, they've been in the Final Four.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good. They are an incredible story. And when you hear the story of their head coach, who apparently Craig Bowles, who's now I think at Wyoming, when Bowles was looking for an assistant, he called their current head coach, who was working as a logger. He was working as a logger and had to sell his golf clubs so he could afford to drive for the interview.
That's crazy because, number one, North Dakota.
Working out there off of Peel Road?
Tim Polasek was his name.
I'll tell you right now, there's not a lot of trees in North Dakota. It's a very barren state that's very flat.
Kind of flat.
Well, kind of. You can stand on a beer can and see Montana.
Yeah. No.
It's like, if you had said oil field worker, I'd been like, yeah, also he wouldn't have been broke.
He was logging in Wisconsin.
Okay, there you go. That makes significantly more sense.
Yeah.
A lot of trees in Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Not in North Dakota.
At the time, he was a part-time assistant at the home of Terry Porter, Wisconsin Stevens Point.
No kidding.
So he had to be a logger on the side.
Wow.
So that's like who their head coach is, right? That's the incredible part about this run, too, is that they've done it with 3 different head coaches.
Yeah, because it's Chris Kleiman, Matt Entz, and then Polasek.
And Bowles, so 4 coaches.
Well, and usually because
Craig Bowles.
Oh, Bowles the one who got started, yeah.
Yeah, he got the whole thing started.
And usually when you have a program like that, it's because you've got a guy that's been there since, 1953.
Yeah, and Bowles went to Wyoming, Kleiman at Kansas State. Entz is now the head coach at Fresno State, I think he is. He
just took the head job. Yeah.
I mean, they're turning these into,
they're
parlaying them into big-time jobs. So I thought the interesting part about all this was, so they win their 10th title yesterday, and everybody's like, oh, well, now I guess it's time to go to the Pac-12 or go to the Mountain West. Is it? I mean, this is the thing about financially, would it make sense and you get a lot more money by going to the FBS level? Sure. But you're never winning a national title again.
No.
I mean, Appalachian State, James Madison, Coastal Carolina, they've turned into good FBS programs.
Functional programs.
They're never going to win a national title.
Never.
I mean, Boise State, how long has it taken Boise State to get to the point where they are national title legitimate contenders, right? I mean, and everybody says, well, they should have been. Well, no, you lose to Nevada Reno on a field goal. Nope. Yeah. Don't deserve to go, right? Because you played in the Mountain West. To get a seat even at the big boy table, Boise State is still fighting for that, right?
And they've the actual successes they've had have been numerous.
Yeah, but they won't win a national title until they get a seat at a big boy table. And working your way up to the big boy table is going to take a lot longer for North Dakota State. And look, Boise State's, sure, if they find a school to fill out the Pac-12 for football and you're up and running again, you're still not in the Power Four. That just, if the Pac-12 gets its schools, that doesn't mean that they're going to be back to the Power Five. That's not what it means at all. You're going to be a Group of 5 school, right? Or Group of 6 school. And the Power Four are going to operate, and that gap is only going to widen with the financial distribution that the Big Ten, SEC, ACC, and Big 12 are having on everybody else in college sports. So if you are North Dakota State, I understand the conversation like, hey, yeah, they should jump right up. You'll never win a title again. You won't.
No.
And right now, you want to tell me that they don't have pride in what they have rolling?
Oh, buddy, I've been
in Fargo.
I've been down there.
I've got family in.
They live in that.
Yeah, my wife's got family out there, right outside of Fargo, anyway, right
East
outside
Fargo?
of Fargo, across the border from
East Fargo.
No, it's not even East Fargo. It's a Plains. It's a something Plains or a whatever.
Look, I'm not big on my North Dakota geography, so I'm going to lean on you to not know this right now.
That's going to kill me.
But there is whether it is North Dakota State, South Dakota State, Montana State, the pride that those areas have, the region has, for those schools in the success at the FCS level, dude, why would you make the jump to the FBS?
Grand Forks.
There you go.
Oh, that's like 45 minutes north. That's where I lived.
It's like there's only 2 other cities that I know.
Yeah, it's
in North Dakota.
Yeah, it's Minot and Bismarck.
That's why I was so mad I couldn't think of it.
Yeah.
So, why would you make the jump? Is it just so you
say you're there?
Have some more money to not win a national title?
Isn't that the whole thing though these days? Is to get the more money?
I don't think it is for those types of schools in particular, right? When it is part of your identity is winning national titles, like it's so damn important to them. It is. And like, hey, in the state of North Dakota, we can hang our hat on this. South Dakota, they can do that. The state of Montana, the pride that they have in Montana and Montana State football for being dominant FCS programs, dude, it means just as much to them that they win FCS national titles as it does to the FBS programs and their fan bases when they win one, because they make it the big time there. And you go to those games and it is packed, it's raucous, and it is a place that the other FCS teams fear to go. You move up to the FBS level, all that's gone.
Yeah.
Because there's more intimidating places to play than, Washington Grizzlies Stadium in Missoula or, the Fargo Dome in North Dakota. There's far more intimidating places with far more fans and far more resources than what they have. So I understand the idea, and because they're really good, it's like, yeah, they should go to the Pac-12. I think that it's more likely you do see the Sac states end up going up.
I mean, they are.
A Weber state coming up. Like, those are the ones where they don't have that rich tradition. It doesn't mean as much to them because they've never tasted what it's like to be a champion at that level.
I know we're up against it right now. We got to make this really quick, but do you think that FCS championship and all those championships that North Dakota State has won, is that college football bigger to them, or is it like the Frozen Four and college hockey?
It's not as big at North Dakota State as it is North Dakota. North Dakota is, if not the best hockey program in the country, it's there with Minnesota.
Yeah.
So I tell you right now, hockey means more in North Dakota, but I tell you, football means a metric crap ton.
And
in North Dakota State.
You know where they make a lot of their money too, is getting a paycheck to go kick the butts out of a Power 4 school, and that means a lot to them too.
And the money's probably not that different.
By the way, North Dakota State coming to Autzen Stadium.
There you go. Be a fun one.
I think that's next year. Is that next year?
I think you're right.
Yeah, I think they open the season.
There you go. It's a fun place to be. All right, coming up next, we'll wrap up today's show with Sam Levitt, not only a hero at Arizona State, hero to his own teammates. Danny and Dusty, Danny the Fan.
Korea.
The Portland Trailblazers fall in the Motor City 118-115 after a little push to close the game with basically a game within 5 points with 5 minutes to go. That's all you're asking for your Portland Trailblazers. Anthony Simons with 36 points, 9 assists. Shaedon Sharpe, 20 points, 8 assists, 8 rebounds. Probably the most productive game you've seen from that backcourt pairing. They're now going to finish out their road trip with a back-to-back at New Orleans and Dallas. New Orleans might be the worst team in the league. The Dallas Mavericks likely to be without both Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving in their game. The New Orleans Pelicans and Trailblazers is likely also going to feature the only time this season the Portland Trailblazers will be picked to win on the road. This Trailblazers Report on the Fan is brought to you by Aztec Willie's Taqueria, the best place to go before and after games or any event. Check them out on the corner of Southeast 15 and Broadway or at AztecWillies.com.
Aztec Willie's Taqueria has been Portland's destination for homestyle men.
Arizona State quarterback Sam Leavitt is winning on the field and off the field.
I love this.
He's orchestrated an NIL deal between Arby's and 8 of his offensive linemen.
They have the meats.
And guess what? They have the meat sweats on.
Yeah, okay, hold on.
You
need to clarify that.
I did that. I did it purposefully.
So yeah, a little bit of a double entendre there.
They have the exclusive Arby's Meats sweatsuit.
Roast beef sweatsuit.
You cannot buy them.
No.
I have attempted to.
Yeah, they got them.
They are exclusive, and the entire offensive line
There's a lot of fabric.
Them.
There's a lot of fabric.
Oh, my God. There's so many meat sweats happening there.
What a great, Sam Leavitt, apparently, former Westland line, went out and brokered this deal for his offensive line to get NIL Arby's. I love that.
It's wonderful.
I love that.
This is the coldest getting the AC deal in Nebraska.
Yeah.
It's just somebody who gets it.
There's a lot of beef up front. Roast beef from Arby's. It's good. It's perfect.
Some Nebraska
They're gonna have
steak
horsey
company
sauce in the training table, and
the horsey sauce is goated.
They're gonna have it.
I can't remember. When was the last time you had Arby's?
Not as long as you might think.
It's been a very long time for me because there's none near me.
The cherry turnovers are elite. There's one near my house.
Is there?
I need to go there more often.
Grab a roast beef and cheddar.
Yeah.
Now, see, I don't even mess around with the cheddar.
Just straight roast beef?
Straight roast beef. Throw some Arby's sauce and horsey sauce on there.
I'll get roast beef and cheddar. I'll mess with that. Their chicken sandwich is really good with
their market fresh sandwiches when they first brought them out 20 years ago was like the best sandwich you could get.
Mm-hmm. This is why NIL is good. Right here. This is what NIL is.
This is exactly what should be happening.
Yep. I love it. I love it so much.
Like if you're an old fuddy-duddy and you're getting mad about this, go choke on some horsey sauce.
Wow. I want to clear one thing up before we get going here.
Ooh, why are you looking right in my eyes when you say that?
I erroneously mentioned that North Dakota State was coming next year. It's Montana State who lost to North Dakota State in the FCS championship. North Dakota State's visit to Autzen has been bumped to 2028.
Okay.
Yeah.
Was that a part of the Big Ten stuff? Was that what that was?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't think so. But Montana State opens the season this next year, and then 2028, North Dakota State, the Bison, comes stampeding into Autzen Stadium.
Clearly those Bobcats are no slouch either.
No, they're not. No, they're not. They had the National Player of the Year.
Maybe they'll bring a Bison into the stadium.
Oh, my gosh. How did we not talk about this until now? Montana State receiver, his name is Taco Dowler.
Wow.
What?
Yep. His name is Taco Dowler. All right.
Oh, my God.
He is 5'9", 175-pound sophomore.
Apparently needs more tacos.
He is lily white. Actually, he's a ginger, and his name is Taco Dowler.
Is it T-A-C-K-O?
Nope. Taco like a taco. T-A-C-O.
Is he a taco because he's white?
T-A-K-O.
No, like
yes, he is.
Well, I'm saying because he's white down low like a tortilla with the red on top with the tomatoes.
Maybe.
So basically, he's the Kroger brand of taco seasoning.
Yeah. But here's the thing, like the personal section of his bio, it doesn't say like his real name is like Theodore and he goes by Taco. No, it's just.
I hope it's his real name.
Where's he from?
Billings, Montana.
Mom lost a bet to Dad, and Dad got to name him. And I'm going to name him after my favorite food, taco.
Name him Taco. It's like, what are we doing here?
Taco Libre. Second one.
Nacho.
Yeah. So that was a bit of an upset.
That's
for
wonderful.
Me. Yeah. Oh, I'm finding out now. I've done some further research. His first name is McLean. McLean Dowler.
I'd go by Taco too.
Taco Dowler. What a great name.
Love to see it.
Yeah. All right. That'll do it for us. Up next, 4 hours of power from their mouths to your ears. It's prime time with Isaac and Sue right here on The Fan.
Bye.
There were little balls on it. There's so much meat.
You're trying to tell me I can't make it through TSA with my wieners?
Prime time with Isaac and Sue.
A prime asset at any party.
So my wife makes bacon a lot in the mornings. How much? Let's have this conversation real quick. Let's talk about it. Bacon, like plates of just stacks it. Well, it's so easy. I'll just have one more. Oh, I'll just have one more.
I don't know how many strips come in a package. What is that, like maybe 15 strips?
I don't know.
I'd tell you.